Man, remember when Swan wanted to do this podcast and just so we can make fun of him and how terrible he is? Man, he has no refute because he's such a weenie. This is the whole podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Are we going?
What a great intro, guys. Hello, welcome to another Ninja podcast. Hunter's back, Puma's back, and this podcast we've got Swan, Rog, Sonic, Gary's in the party. Gary might say a word.
I think
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna get Fireball in here.
Fireball. That's what I say.
I'll get Fireball in here. Anyway, yeah, we got another podcast. Swan forced me at gunpoint to do this podcast.
Yeah, Brit boy.
Oh dear.
Fireball, welcome to the podcast.
And Fireball's here.
You got on at a good time, Fireball. Welcome to the podcast.
What are you talking about?
I don't know.
How much-
What are we talking
Dude,
How
about?
much of a weenie Swan is? Swan's a
Did you
weenie.
go through puberty?
Nah.
When's the
my
last
balls
time
actually
you
went
talked
up.
to Fireball?
They didn't drop.
They went up, yeah.
My
Only
balls
one of his
actually-
balls dropped.
Only one.
Still
So
working on
I've got
it.
a good like 5 inches.
And it's
between
mine
each
now.
one.
One of
No,
them
it
is
really
just like
do be like that
swinging
sometimes.
around freely in the wind. Anyway,
At the speed. Okay.
so yeah, Fireball, welcome to the podcast. It's going to be on my channel, ExtremeUKGaming.
Your
Totally.
channel, wow.
Who likes Swan?
I didn't know you were
Said,
a little
how do you
Brit
feel
boy.
about being in Swans?
Yeah,
Yes.
my channel, ExtremeUKGaming.
Wow.
We're all here to ask questions about me and talk about me and how great I am.
You're actually pretty shitty.
Alright.
Jumping career is awful. Overrated.
What?
Swan,
Okay.
here's a
And I
question.
started with a question.
Here's a question. What makes you think you're so good when you're not?
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
You're subscribed
when
to
Sonic
my
roasts you,
channel,
you
bitch.
might as well already
You're
leave the
sub-
podcast.
You're subscribed
got roasted
to
by
my
it.
channel, motherfucker.
Just because he's subscribed, he's
Explain
subscribed
that.
to see your shit. Because he wants to laugh at your terribleness.
Terribleness is not a word. God damn it, Puma. I swear to God, dude.
Come on, Swan, you want to fight? I'll bring Salami to it. You'll fucking lose.
Dude, okay, look, we have to have a serious
Fireball, check your
No,
Discord.
we need a serious talk.
We have to have a serious
Thank
interview
God I
with
didn't
Dan
have a
about his
message on
fucking
that.
use of the word salami.
No,
'Cause
no,
I
no.
am
We're gonna
getting
talk
to-
about
I am
Swan
getting
ruining
to
a
the point.
perfectly good trip over Salami.
Dude, no,
No,
look,
so
okay.
Swan and
you said-
were gonna go to Maine on as a trip, right? And I said, hey, let me bring some salami because we're gonna be in a cabin for 10 days. And he said no. So guess what? I didn't go.
No, Dan, that's not what happened
You wanted
at
to
all.
bring a girl, and you wouldn't let me bring salami.
Yeah?
That's the problem. You gotta give and take. I would have let you bring a girl if you let me bring salami.
Dude, look,
Yes,
okay,
yeah.
first of all,
Swan brings the ladies. Puma brings the salami.
I just wanted some salami.
Salami is
First-
Puma's ladies.
first of all, we didn't go on that trip because I ended up in the hospital. That's why we didn't fucking go.
No, first off, we didn't go because of salami, and then you ended up in the hospital. Those are two
Puma.
unrelated things. What's up,
Dude,
Rod?
know
I
what
don't
you
know,
gotta
maybe the
do?
salami is before
You
in the
gotta-
fucking hospital.
Put a funnel in Swan's mouth and force the salami down.
Dude, I will,
What?
dude.
Do you think I've never eaten salami before? Look, I go to fucking
He just doesn't
Subway.
like it.
I'm just not gonna eat
I
a
don't like salami either.
5-pound block of salami.
No
You
one
realize
said
how
you
much
had to
salami-
eat it.
Do you realize how much salami is 5 pounds? I want you to
I will
think
eat
about
5
this. Try to
pounds in a
quantify.
short while.
That's
It only
a
takes a little
lot.
bit of time.
Look, okay, how many Italian sandwiches do you fucking expect me to eat? Because I'm not gonna eat as many as you want.
No,
It's
but
not
the thing
happening,
is,
man.
if you're gonna bring a girl, and I want 5 pounds of salami for our trip there, the 10 days, and the ride
Why
back.
don't you just bring a girl, man?
Because I didn't have a girl at the time. I wanted to bring salami.
Dude, just
Well, this
fucking
is an
ask
epic
out a
start to
girl.
this podcast.
You're telling me you can't find some fucking girl to go on a fucking trip with you, dude? You live in New Jersey. There's sluts everywhere in New Jersey. That's like slut
Okay.
central.
There's even
That is
more in
where
New
they
York
come
where he
from.
lives. There's even more where he lives
born
now.
in New Jersey, they move to New York and then they disperse out through the country.
No,
from
but
that
here's the
funnel
thing. No,
point.
I wasn't
I don't
there
think
to
that's
just,
how it
I don't
works,
want to
Swan.
fuck someone just that I don't know that may have like herpes or some shit. Like if I'm not gonna be able to find someone to fuck that's like
But
I'm in a
like
relationship
salami,
with,
I think
then
I
I'm
would
gonna have
rather
my
have
salami
herpes.
and I'm gonna eat
I
it.
think I would rather have herpes than eat a 5-pound block of salami. Right?
No,
Like
I don't want my
in
life
this weird
ruined
fear factor
by
scenario.
herpes. Fine, I'll fucking inject you with herpes so that way you have
Dude,
it in your
I don't
mouth,
want my
dude.
life ruined by fucking salami.
How is your life gonna be ruined by salami?
As opposed to being ruined by herpes.
Dude, there are some memories that you can't get out of your brain, okay?
All right, tell me a traumatic experience you had with salami, of all things.
Yeah, dude. I can't.
What?
No.
What is it? What is it?
Swan saw me pull down my pants.
What?
And there was salami in it.
Salami's actually the name of my uncle who molested me. Like, Jesus Christ, Swan, you're
Oh,
so
shit.
ridiculous. No, so what are some other Swan conflicts that we've had lately?
Oh god, Swan conflicts. Well, one Swan conflict is the fact that he's only just got back. He's only just got back after like 9 months
55
away.
years.
Well, like a year and a half.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
Remember
Not a
when
year
Swan
and a
was
half.
good jumper? Oh wait, it never happened.
I want to issue a warning to everybody about a very certain Snozberries. I came back after like 9 months. Snoz joined the party, and I was like, Snoz, my guy! And then he says, it's 6 in the morning, will you shut the fuck up? God damn!
I mean, he is right. He's got a fair point.
Get
You
absolutely
did, yeah.
fucked,
Dude,
Swan. No
I
one cares that much about
cry
you.
every night about Snoz doing that to me, and
Swan, what you have
I
to do
would
now
like
is
to
just
motion-
carve Snoz
I would
into
like-
your wrist.
I would like to motion that Snoz was kicked out of the jumping community entirely.
No, we'll only kick out
said
two
who?
Snoz, but we'll keep Snoz.
I am officially
Swan.
declaring my jump beef towards Snozberries.
No, we have the jump.
Oh,
you
shit.
fucking
No,
baby
Puma,
face.
you're not good enough for my fucking jump beef.
To be fair, you're not good enough for me, but you know what? I'll fucking beat your ass.
Look,
Just
how
like
many-
Smokey
how
beat
many
the shit out of
times-
Co-Star.
How many times have you failed final jump in stage 3?
Oh,
times have you even made the
me and,
final
How
Stage
many times have
tournament.
you? How many times have you
fucking-
been there?
Twice.
Oh boy, twice. I made it more than you, you fucking.
And you
ginger
failed
boy.
it more than me!
technically,
You
but he
cleared
failed
it both
it
the
twice.
same, you fucking loser.
Uh-oh, spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers. All spoilers are available. All potential spoilers.
How many
Tournaments
times have
that
you
are
beat
not
me
out
in
yet.
Smokey's tournament?
Have I beaten you in
Alright,
Smokey's tournament? I don't
listen,
even
how
fucking
many?
know.
Listen, let's get to Hunter asking me questions so we can talk about me and how important I am to the
But
jumping
how about we
world.
ask Puma, because Puma's actually cooler than Swan.
No one gives a fuck about the washed up Puma.
No one gives a fuck about has been Swan, who never actually was.
No, everyone
You were
is
never-
rooting for the underdog comeback story of
You were-
Swantron,
you
who
were
had
not
to
even
retire due to shaky
You were a
ass
wannabe
hands.
that never even was.
I had
Oh yeah, that's a good story.
There's a
medical
fun podcast.
condition.
I'm glad I could join. I'm not gonna go back to work. You guys have fun with the rest of your day.
Oh, he's at work. Oh, that's a rip. Alright, well, we got Fireball whilst we could.
Anyway, any last questions you have
Fireball
for me,
did
Swan,
nothing
before I leave?
to contribute to this podcast. Just saying.
Dude,
How-
remember when
how
Swan's
old do you
girlfriend
Give him a
called
2-week
drunk
notice.
in the middle of the night?
Wait, let me listen. Let me listen.
What?
Wait, what were you asking?
Fireball.
Dude,
What you
you'll
need to
just
do?
have-
You
that's
go
the
up to your
question.
manager.
What was I
Tell him
asking?
Shut up,
Give it a
Rod!
2-week
Shut the
notice.
frig up so
Go
Swan
to
can
your job.
speak!
Go to your
Go to my job.
So,
Uh-huh.
and tell them that Swan said that you have the day
Ethan
off.
said. The big
And
Swan.
then they'd laugh.
I feel
Ask
like this
them-
podcast
ask
is
them about
going
their
to
opinion of
destroy at
salami.
least 2 people's reputations.
Tell
I'd
them
rather kill
top-
myself than ask my managers about
It's
Alright.
stuff.
gonna destroy yours.
Hopefully,
Ask
I don't
your
I
manager
have.
their
just
opinion
destroyed
about
mine.
salami.
I haven't said anything.
I love the
I haven't said
podcast. See you,
anything.
Swan. Nice talking to you again.
I
Don't
love
you'll be
you,
on again.
Fireball. Mwah, mwah.
Swan's only saying that. The second you leave, he's gonna be like, "Fuck that guy."
Dude, you're trying so hard, Dan. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's just easy for Swan. He doesn't even have to try.
Swan's not Swan. You know, he's just a loser. You know, it's all good.
Dude, I don't have to try to have such a big floppy penis.
Anyway, I didn't even know what questions
don't
I'm supposed to
either.
actually be
I don't
asking
try.
you, Ethan.
Alright, Hunter, it's time to ask me questions about how I'm the most important jumper in history.
Or like the most unimportant.
I have a question. Actually, I do have a question for you. How did you manage to How did you manage to bribe Ump so well to become your friend?
I don't know how me and Ump like started being in parties all the time, because I used to always party up with Rog and fucking King Sparkety and Reshiram, and Flame, and we would all jump together. We had our group, and
Power Rangers. Go Power Rangers!
And then Phase 4.
No, we had to jump Fellowship.
Okay, first of all,
Puma was Gandalf.
Yeah,
oh
I was
yeah.
Swan, so
There
I was
was
automatically
the
the
Fellowship
coolest.
of the Jump.
Fellowship
but
of the Jump.
I was Frodo.
Yeah.
Also, there was definitely not the Wolf Pack, which was me, Rog, an Epic, and Flame, I believe. And
I guess.
then later we renamed it, and
Something. Yeah.
how did I start
The
hanging out
idiot's
with Ump all
howling.
the time? That's kind of an important question, because like half of my content is like features him on it now. I guess like just I remember we were like in a party, and like I said something about like mixing orange juice and bleach together and drinking it through a swirly straw, and I guess he thought that was funny. And then I like started joining all the big parties and shit, and then I don't
He
know.
became a big boy. Yeah, I remember
don't
when I
know.
invited Swan to Survivor when he was no big deal, and he got 4th place.
Look,
It's
Dan,
actually pretty good.
was there any point where I was ever a no big deal? From
Yeah,
my
pretty much.
very
Tournament winner Spartan Sasuke.
tournament one Spartan Sasuke.
That's where he
First
made his
person to
name.
beat stage 1. Ooh,
Ever.
got
Yeah.
fucking
Ever.
4th
No,
place
you-
At
or
least in
whatever.
run order.
But to be fair, you were kind of a nobody. You were just kind of that rando who went to smoke.
Hey, Rog, that's a good question for Rog. Can you remember chronologically who was the first person ever to clear stage 1? That's a good question.
It was probably someone in that party where Swan ran. I know he was the last
I know,
person
I
in that party to run.
I cleared, I think, first. It might
I
have been
think it
Swan.
might
that
have been
many?
Puma, yeah.
Patty.
Patty or Puma.
Oh god,
one
that
of
would be
those
pretty
two.
cool. That would be pretty funny if it was Paddy. The first person to ever clear stage 1 on Rog's course.
Oh,
No,
Joey's
but,
in my lobby.
But Dan, Halo Ninja
What?
Warrior 17 qualifiers, I got 1st place. Immediate big deal. Immediate like
Not
look at
really.
this fucking guy.
Yeah, but like, you know who got 1st place last time? Fucking Shorty Force, and then Shorty Force fucked off in the fuck off.
Yeah, but he's Japanese, you know, he could have just, like
Look,
most
look,
Japanese people,
okay.
he just disappeared.
Look, Dan's sitting here talking all
Was
this
what?
shit.
Smoke bomb?
Dan,
Yep.
you were
What?
my biggest fucking supporter back then.
Yeah,
you
back in the day, but you never
you were
lived up
the-
to expectations.
How? I made a title. I was an all-star. What do you mean?
Yeah, but what did you ever do on like a non-Rog course?
Ouch.
Course,
He got to stage 3 above.
Smokey's course. I beat the crazy cliffhanger.
Yeah, but like anyone and their grandma could beat the crazy cliffhanger back then, dude.
No,
Wow.
nobody fucking beat
Wow.
it back then.
I
Yes,
beat it
they
back
you.
then.
I beat it so
No,
many fucking
no.
times, man.
Well,
You beat
no,
it
I
once
it
on
in
Halo
Halo.
5. Not on Halo. Yeah, but no, that's we're talking about Halo 5, which is what
I beat
Swan
it
is.
once on Halo
And-
5.
On
Yeah,
Hunter's
once.
Course, on
I've only
Hunter's
gotten to it
course,
twice.
on Hunter's course, my very first attempt, I beat stage 1, made it to
Yeah,
the
but
Salmon
like
Ladder,
that
failed that,
happens
whatever.
that happens
And
like,
then-
a majority
And
of the
then,
time.
later on, I fucking made it to stage 3 on Hunters.
Spoilers.
Yeah, but you failed the fucking devil steps, my guy. That's like.
Oh god, I'm gonna have to bleep all this.
Dude, motherfucking goddamn shit, motherfucker, fucking shit, damn fucking shit, stupid fucking dead ass.
You know where I got? You know where I got? I got to the final ring.
Okay,
Like a good
listen.
jumper does.
Spoilers.
I wasn't
Okay, let's chill with the spoilers.
Yeah, just bleep out all the results. But I didn't get to practice stage 3, Dan.
Cool titties, everyone gets to practice, you fucking nincompoop.
Hunter didn't let me practice stage 3.
You get to practice for 10 minutes,
Hunter,
shit
can you
tard.
confirm that? Hunter. Confirm
Yeah, I'm pretty
that.
sure Swan got a bit of practice because everyone
You
gets a
get
bit
10
of
minutes
practice.
practice, you fucking loser.
You got
I got-
15. You got 15 minutes back then.
I got like 10 or
15.
15 minutes. I had never been on any of Hunter's stage 3s before.
So,
Yeah.
that's not an
Yeah.
excuse.
I think
A
I
good
did pretty
jumper knows how
fucking
to
good.
adapt.
This
I think he
entire
did good.
team
I
is
think he
gonna
did
get
good.
cut.
Fucking loser.
I got like a top 3 that tournament. Give me a fucking break. All right, Hunter's gonna have to like cut that entire section out. We need to stop talking about this.
How is he going to even have that section still?
Yeah,
in?
but
This
you,
is just fucking dead right now.
Or you
you
can wait till after
You
tournament
were never
20
the guy
finishes
on a course
uploading and
besides
then...
one.
And then upload this. Yeah,
You
actually,
never
yeah,
done
that's a
that.
good point. Actually, we
There are
could.
3 courses. You were only the guy on one of them. What
I
a
was
fucking
the-
disappointment.
I'm the guy on 2 courses, you fucking weenie.
You
I'm
were
the guy
never.
on Hunters right now, and I was the
You are
guy
not
on
the
MCC
guy on
for
Hunters.
Smokies.
You are not.
I am
the guy
on
Hunters.
Hunters.
You are
man.
not the guy on Hunters.
I am the guy.
You are not.
I think Smokey's
I
the guy
am
on
the guy.
Hunters.
Smokey is the guy on Hunters. All right.
Smokey,
Yeah.
like, he's like
I'm
the,
with you on
he's
this
like
one.
the
Smokey
god, but I'm the
Pokey.
guy.
You had-
There's a difference.
You had
Smokey
two
Pokey.
tournaments. You had 2 tournaments where you were the guy on Smokies. You had 0 where you were the guy on Hunter.
Smokey.
And even then was, and even then,
a lot of tournaments
You
where I was
had
the
like
guy.
negative
and even some of that
5
is just.
where you were the guy on rocks.
I was the guy in Rogs going into tournament 3, dude.
No, you fucking weren't.
Yes, I fucking was.
No, technically, technically,
Who was the best?
Hold
player
up, okay,
besides
hold up.
Buddy?
Fireball.
Hunter has
Fucking shit. Shut up.
No,
Shut up.
no.
The Gary's
I was
back.
going into tournament 3.
Gary's back.
No, look. Fireball got first place in Spartan Sasuke 1. Buddy got
Yeah,
first
but I
place
got
in
the
Spartan
stage
Sasuke
3.
2.
Fireball didn't get the stage 3 on tournament 2. I was one of the, I think, one of 2 people who got to stage 3 in the first 2 tournaments. I was the guy. I was
Yeah,
consistent.
you were
I was
you were
good.
never the guy. No one was,
I was
ever
the
like
guy.
no one was ever like Puma's the best on the course right now. That
It's
never
going
happened.
Into tournament 3. Going into tournament 3.
No!
Yes.
No! There's more hype behind me than you in tournament 3.
Full
What does that
fucking
tell you?
Titties, man. Full
All right.
fucking
Are we
titties.
May I
going
ask
to
a real
ignore-
question?
Alright,
Who
fine.
do you believe was the guy going into tournament 3?
Me.
Buddy!
No,
And
I
Buddy
would say
didn't
not.
compete in
I
tournament
would say
3.
not Buddy because Buddy didn't
Then
compete.
Fireball!
No, Fireball wasn't the guy. Fireball didn't even get to stage 3 that prior tournament. How is he the guy?
He made a stage 2, and before that, he had a first place. What did you have? 1 stage
I had
3.
2 consistent stage 3s, you fucking weenie.
Okay, well, you sucked on both stage 3s.
I made it about halfway through
Smokey
the course,
had a
you
higher
fucking
number
loser
than you in
face.
tournament 3. Let's
Yeah, but
put that
I
in
was the guy.
consideration.
I was the guy.
Smokey was the other guy that had got to stage 3 in the first 2
Yeah.
Halo, in the first 2 tournaments.
Yeah,
Well, at
but
least
I
you
was,
both
I
agree
was
then
the
it was
guy.
Swan is
Smokey.
not the guy.
No, I was the guy.
Can we agree? Can we at least agree that whether that tournament or not, Puma might have been the guy. It was the only tournament where Puma might have been considered the guy on Spartan
No,
Sasuke.
tournament 5, like people were.
Oh, what
saying
tournament?
that I was
No,
going to
no,
go
no.
on stage
Nah.
What
one, And then
about
the tackle machine, the worst obstacle Rog ever
Hang
had,
on,
fucking
hang on,
Vulcan.
hang on. I had cleared stage 1 in all of the first 4 tournaments. I'm pretty sure
I know, but
Fireball
I
had
got
cleared
absolutely
stage
fucked by
1.
the tackle machine. I
Ump
cleared
got
stage 1
total
and the
victory in
shittiest obstacle
tournament
Rog ever
4.
made wasn't there.
Got total victory in tournament 4. You were not the guy.
No, but like I
And he
was
got
one
to
of
the
guys
final,
that could
the
be
tournament
good.
before that.
I was like
Ump
one of the top guys.
Ump was coming off. 2.
Rog, what number was Puma out of the All Stars in tournament 5?
37 out of 40, and I think.
Okay, so
Smokey
he was
36.
so he was the 4th guy going into tournament 5.
So he was behind Fireball. He was behind you, Hunter.
But
and
numbers
he was
mean
behind
nothing, really. Let's be real. Like
Numbers.
numbers don't always mean jack diddly squat.
Oh, now
If
you're
no-
saying numbers.
No, what I'm saying
Wow.
is after 19 on Hunters, it could be if it wasn't for Smokey getting total victory a few tournaments ago,
Hey Dan,
I would be 100.
Dan, how does it make you feel that by the time they got to Halo 5, you were already like halfway into your jumping career, and then my numbers in Halo 5 can still compare to yours?
Not
I
really.
was
I
just
mean,
starting.
how many high 90s do you have on Hunter's course? Fucking 0.
I competed like 3 times on Hunters. He barely
And
ever
you've done
runs
jack
tournaments.
diddly squat in all your runs. You
I
fucked
made
up every
stage-
time.
I made stage 3 and stage 2.
You made the stage 2 twice, and one time you fucking done goofed, and then the other time you cleared it, you fucking barely got you didn't even get halfway through the stage,
I had
because
never
you fucking
before.
were not
You
good
got
at
to practice
adapting.
all the time. Look, Puma, are you
I
telling me?
had
Are you
practiced for
telling
15
me
minutes, made it
that
to the
you
last
are?
obstacle.
Are you
15
telling me
minutes,
that
made it
you
to the
are
last
like
obstacle.
the biggest practice guy in all of Halo?
I
Are you
used
kidding
to.
me?
I used to, but
Swan and
adaptability
Puma
is the
might
biggest
be
skill of a jumper,
the
and I'm more
Roger
adaptable than you.
Ebert and Siskel
Dude,
of the Halo jumping community.
Dan, you are
I don't know
out
what
of
this
your
is.
fucking mind.
I am a better adaptable jumper
This
than
should be
you
a new
ever
series
could
where we
dream
just
of.
bring two
Look,
bitter
I have-
rivals and have them
I
go
have
at
like
each other.
I have a pristine Spartan Sasuke record. 2 stage 1 fails. One of them I had no practice for.
I'd say your record is like 4th best. I can name 4 people who have a better record than
5
you.
stage 3s in a row.
I mean, yeah, but how many of those did you
And
do?
I'm going to throw the occasional spanner into the works throughout all of this. I would like to put my case forward that I saw you fail, and it probably is not that great that Rog's in here, but I'm going to say it anyway. I saw you fail stage 1 in tournament 11 fair and square, and
Spanner means wrench.
Tournament 11? I don't remember.
I saw you fail the
some-
crooked. I saw you fail the crooked wall on your second attempt, fair and square, and then 2 days later I come in and it's like, oh, Rog gave you a third attempt. Oh, it's
Hunter,
like
how
stage
many
one.
Pixel for getting extra
Hunter,
runs?
how many people have you given extra runs in Halo Ninja or Ninja Warrior of Halo?
Oh, in Halo Ninja Warrior, none, because Smokey's a bitch.
You give so many reruns in Ninja Warrior of Halo. Don't call out Rock like that.
I don't
No,
think so.
Yeah, but it's different when it's you.
Rock
I've
had
never got rerun on Hunters.
Rock had
Let's be real.
legitimate reason for the rerun he gave me.
Could I hear
No,
them?
but what about that whole? It's hypocritical though, because you bitched about Pixel getting like 836 reruns, and
Yeah,
Vulcan
because
getting
Pixel,
836
I got
reruns.
one rerun. I got one rerun. Pixel, literally, I was
But
gone
what about
for
Vulcan?
2
What about Vulcan?
hours.
It's so hypocritical. It was because Pixel's a little kid and Vulcan's British.
First of all, Pixel is like barely younger than me. And
Pixel was like
Pixel,
13 when these tournaments happened.
I got off my Xbox
And then you
went
yelled
focused
at
on
a
the E.
British
I
person
came
who you
back.
thought was from Minnesota.
I came back.
Who you thought was from Minnesota?
I came back. Dan! I came
You
back.
thought he was from
Okay.
Minnesota.
Okay.
Listen, I came back 2 hours later. Pixel was still fucking getting redos. And
No. That's revisionist history. You're just trying to cover for yourself now.
no, I
This
swear
context
to God.
fell out.
I swear to God. He just constantly.
I think you
like,
looked at the clock and then manually changed it because you want to fit
Listen,
your narrative.
Dan, I didn't
This
have
is
a
fake
car back
news.
then.
Hashtag fake news.
I didn't have a car back then.
You were
I-
fucking
I
working
went
at
to my-
Domino's, beating the shit
I
out of
walked-
people inside of Domino's. That's what
Look, we'll talk about that later. I
No, we're
walked
talking
to-
about it
We'll
right
get
now.
to that
We're
later.
right
I
now.
walked to my friend's house, walked
No,
to fucking
no.
sheets.
You were at Domino's making a pepperoni and pineapple pizza, and then like this guy walks in, you beat the shit out of him.
No, that is
Yes.
not what happened.
You were Swan Domino, and then you had to become Swan Low because you got fired.
That was even when I was closed. No, you have the entire timeline of my life messed up.
No, I have it right. You're just trying to retcon shit.
No, I
Oh, we
left
can-
Domino's, went to Lowe's, then
Well,
went
no,
back
bullshit.
to Domino's,
You're
and
incorrect.
then got in a fight.
I know your life
I
better
was
than you do.
there.
I know your life better than you do. You're just making shit up for the viewers at home.
Dan, you're losing your fucking mind, dude. It's like you're
No.
getting more
You're
and more
one to talk,
detached from
Swan.
reality, dude.
You know
Everything
what?
I'm saying.
Do I need
lines
to
up
hold
reality.
up? Do I need to give you a banana? Cause you're fucking bananas right now, guy.
Dude, you're the fucking. You're the
Giving
one
him a
who's a
banana won't
fucking
help.
I
monkey.
need a.
You're
I
the
need
one
to
who's
put
a
you
fucking
on the wall
monkey.
because you're off the fucking wall right now.
Dude, you're the one with fucking air balloons in his head. Are you fucking kidding me?
No,
Get on
you're-
my couch and blow me, little bitch.
No, dude, you gotta. I'm not fucking doing that twiddly dink little dick, man. You gotta come over here and fucking suck my salami, my guy.
Dude, you
That's
can't
why
call
he
that
wanted
fucking
the.
song.
That's why he wanted the
It's
holiday.
a fucking broken and half Vienna sauce.
Because he's seen it.
You have a micro
You're like a
penis with
fucking
erectile
burnt
dysfunction.
bratwurst that was eaten by a rabbit with Parkinson's.
And it's still bigger
A
than
rabbit
yours.
with Parkinson's.
Bullshit.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude.
Anyway, back to Spartan Sasuke. Rog.
Let's settle down a little bit. This is getting
No,
out of hand.
no.
Oh, now we're
Spart-
going back to Spartan Sasuke.
Spartan Sasuke, where Swan is like the 4th best jumper. Yeah, let's go back there.
Okay, if you reckon he's the 4th best jumper, who's the 3 that are ahead of him?
Smokey,
Fireball, Smokey, and
Fireball. Hell, I would even say Buddy might have been a better jumper than Swan.
Whoa! Now you are just.
Oh, they're taking a piss because Buddy's only competed twice on my course,
better.
so we can't really compare.
Who the fuck is Lord of Ooze?
Can you really make a fair comparison?
Remember when Lord Franku got
like all these other all-stars?
That was awkward. Remember when Swan was so hyped up going into Tournament 4 and he failed the first fucking obstacle?
Yeah, oh yeah, that was a good tournament. I got to watch that. That was a good tournament.
Hey, at least I never failed the first obstacle unlike Swan. Imagine failing the first obstacle. I would want to kill myself after that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, imagine failing the first obstacle.
We here at the Ninja Podcast do not condone encouragement of...
Hey, that's a stage 3 obstacle. It's better than your fucking first obstacle, stage 1.
Imagine failing to hazard
which I still never did on your abs
Puma.
course. Dude, second obstacle is second obstacle. It's not the first obstacle.
I would agree with Smoking Ump. I think it's hit and miss between Fireball and Swan. I think Swan's streak maybe tips him ahead of Fireball.
Streaks don't really mean much in the end, though. It's
wow. Okay. Let me hold you. Let me get in on this.
Slocum Joe can come in and clear stage 1 10 times, but if he only beats stage 2 one time, who gives a fuck?
I would like to point out. 5 stage 3s in a row plus. I would like to point out that I'm glad you used the word 10 stage 1s in a row, because I would like invite nobody else into this, by the way. I would like to point out, it's because Snoz sent me a party invite, so I don't know if they've given up already on their stream, but I don't want anyone else in here. I would like to point out, since you said cleared stage 1 10 times in a row, I would like to point out that Swan's best streak on Rogs is 9 tournaments in a row, so I'm still the only person, that's done it 10 times in a row on a course. So I'm glad you said 10 in a row. So I went to 19 in a row, and nobody else has more than 10.
I'll say that my fail in 15, I shouldn't have even been there. Rog pressured me into competing in that tournament.
Wow, that's excuses. You know what?
Hey, look, as far as I see it, because I still haven't heard the reasoning. All I know is that Rog gave you another attempt to keep the streak going in 11. That's all I know right now.
What a fucking...
that's not even what
That's
happened.
Invalid. The streak ended at 11 in my book.
No, it fucking didn't.
Anyway, let's move on to Ninja War of Halo. Let's talk about Swan on...
No, I failed the fucking swinging pendulum like a man, and I fucking said, yeah, man.
Let's talk about Swan on Ninja War of Halo.
Look, I wasn't even the one, I didn't even ask for
Let's talk about
Rog comes up and tells
Swan
me that
Smurfs,
Rog came up and told me something. He told me that he saw something in the fucking footage, and he offered me a redo.
So saw something in the footage.
He said there's like
he
lag.
saw you fail. That's what he saw.
He said there's lag or something.
No, he saw you fail. That's what he saw, and he's like, nah, I want to retcon that.
I don't know what the fuck he saw.
That's on. Well, that's maybe on Rog.
What's Big Bang?
Hello, I am Big Bang.
I can't even do the fucking
Okay,
voice.
well, it's been fun, but
Who the
I
fuck's
gotta
Big Ben?
head out. I'm going to leave you guys with one question. In a fight between you two, who would win? Have
I
fun.
would win because I throw fucking salami at this bitch.
And I remember Hunter got really
Who
mad.
invited Snoz?
Snoz. See, Snoz is a good boy. He never used a Smurf.
We're podcasting. Who invited Snoz? I said we were going to keep this.
Well, hey, we got a special guest appearance.
I'm dead. I need to
Are you
go
dead?
somewhere.
Oh god. You're the next to die?
I mined a block and all this gravel fell and it dropped the floor and I fell into lava 4 blocks deep and just burned to death.
Oh,
Right,
no.
but,
Alright, so for the viewers at home that
I'll
don't
be quiet.
know, Ump is hosting a thing called Sweatcraft, which essentially, it's hardcore Minecraft, 8-player, once you die you're out and you get kicked out of the party.
Are we,
The first time we fought the dragon and got
Are we
fucked.
talking about Halo jumping or are we talking about Minecraft?
Anyway, moving on from.
We're giving the viewers some context real quick.
Anyway, I think.
Are we gonna stop busting open the Smurf case now?
We already started busting open the Smurf case. But yeah, we'll keep going.
Alright,
No, I think I want to ask the big question. The big question I've been waiting for in this podcast. The Smurf case is being put down again. I want to ask Swan the big question for this podcast. The big question really is, why do you hate Vulcan so much?
He's fucking Minnesotan.
Yes.
I don't hate Vulcan.
Wow.
He wants rim.
Wow.
No, okay, look. There was a point in time where Vulcan was the most annoying person on
That's facts.
all
Big
of
meaty
Xbox.
facts.
And
Big,
like
meaty
he was
facts.
just unbearable in every fucking possible way. And I would try my hardest to like get along with him and everything, and he would just it's like he was trying to piss us all off, It was just like unbelievable. Like I can't describe exactly how bad it was. And at that point I hated Vulcan. I couldn't fucking stand him. And then like I started talking about it in Aborigines, and it was just funny. So it just kind of like became a running
Every
joke.
tournament.
When you banned him for spring jumping, but didn't ban Puma.
Yeah. But
Well, if
that
you love
was,
Vulcan so much, then here he is.
Why don't
wait a
you
minute.
marry
He needs
him?
to
but
join.
no, I don't hate Vulcan. It's just a running joke. But here,
Hunter, oh my god.
I'll give you a
Here we
guarantee,
go.
Hunter. I'll give you a guarantee, Hunter. If you ask me any question, I promise to death that I will tell the truth, the 100% truth about anything you ask me.
Oh, wait, where's Jump Court?
Oh, turn
Yeah,
off the
where's Jump
recording.
Court? Dude, remember Jump Court?
No, I have no idea what that is.
I've taken so many people to Jump Court. It's been fun.
Is Hunter still here?
I'm still there.
No, he's gone.
I told
Let's
you.
talk about your Ninja War of Halo debut. I remember that one well. It was fun because that tournament had the Salmon Ladder controversy, and I remember
fuck
that
that
I
Salmon
instantly liked you because you sent me that message saying, "I don't know what everyone is moaning about. I don't have a problem with the Salmon
He
Ladder."
was just pandering. He wanted an extra run.
Yeah, totally.
You want a higher number next time. That Salmon Ladder was an absolute cunt. Let's just talk.
Welcome to the podcast,
full stop.
Vulcan.
No, look, it was just really fucking hard, and no one on Halo 5
It was
good
the
enough to
spring
beat it.
ladder. You couldn't beat it unless you spring jumped. It was fucking
Or your
stupid.
name was Go
Sure,
Tanks.
Go Tanks beat it without spring jumping.
Yeah, but like that's Go Tanks. That's different. And Go Tanks literally cleared it with 20 seconds left. So he was up shit creek with no paddles.
Yeah, but no.
After
To
that.
be fair, that he only cleared it with that little time left because he got to the top of the Salmon Ladder and then failed the last one and went all the way back to the bottom. So he basically did the Salmon Ladder twice without spring jumping.
Yeah, but
Oof.
yeah, the spring ladder was stupid.
cool.
Like honestly, like that is the least fun I ever had on a course. Like I considered not even doing my run. I thought I was like, this is bullshit. Just like say I didn't
Yeah,
participate.
And then
Bullshit.
you
You were
intentionally
Swan
failed a
literally wanted to
downhill
talk me
jump
into
so that
doing
you
a run,
couldn't attempt
and I'm not
the
gonna lie,
Salmon
Hunter,
Ladder.
I purposely failed the downhill jump. I was that frustrated.
I
We
can-
kind of all knew that.
I can confirm he actually did purposely fail the downhill jump.
Yeah.
I don't know if
He's-
I don't remember if you personally failed it, but it made for a different fail. It made for a nice
I
shocking fail.
absolutely refuse
Well,
to give you
he-
the satisfaction of failing the salmon ladder. That's
He-
what I told. That's what I told him.
Yeah, he told me before he did that run that he was gonna fail that on purpose. So I can't.
Yeah.
Ouch.
No, Hunter, let's really bust open some Halo jumping secrets here. Ask me anything. I'll tell you.
Oh, I
Oh,
fucking
God.
love jumper secrets.
What secrets? What secrets? I don't even. What?
Dude, whatever you want. Anybody ask a questions. I'll.
Hey,
Hey, Rog,
Hunter,
take
we
the
talk
okay.
about
Snoz, take the floor. Snoz, take the floor.
Yeah, Snoz, take it.
Who? All right, Swan. Since you're being honest, who's the most overrated jumper in all of the scene?
All,
Oh, that's
The- what? All jumping
okay,
ever?
Of all
I know
Halo
who you're
5
gonna
or just
say.
like right now?
All like, let's say right
Alright,
now and
or-
then of all time. Let's do both.
Yeah, of all time and in right now. Both.
Okay, well, okay. I'd say of recent time, I don't know, like honestly, getting like really real here, tell 100% truth, I'd say I'm up there of being one of the most overrated
I mean, that's
jumpers.
big
Like
facts.
really,
Yeah.
really, like
Really?
like
Big facts.
alright, settle down. But like from the first time I like did anything at all, since I was like a likable person, everybody
Were you ever
immediately-
likable?
yeah, everybody
Yeah.
like immediately jumped on
To begin
my
with.
bandwagon, and like everyone started like talking about how it's gonna be like the next fucking big thing, and like
And then phase 4 happened.
I was like doing slightly better than everyone else who was new, and like I'd like.
I remember when I
Tim-
advocated. I tried to talk Smokey into making it the 6th All-Star. but he said no.
Oh God, really?
Oh my god.
I said if Sasuke had a Bunpei Shiratori that they named an All-Star unnecessarily and unfairly and way too early.
Oh, here
then
we go
Halo
again.
Ninja Warrior needs one.
We're not
they
getting
just
into that
fuck
on this
fuck
podcast.
Bunpei Shiratori.
No,
Everyone
we're not
writes
getting.
incorrect.
No.
Incorrect.
I forgot about him.
Fuck Bunpei.
But of all time, the most overrated jumper.
That double ump guy.
No, ump has finals and total victories.
Finally has finals. Halo 5 came good for him. Before that, he could have. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh. Before that, you could call Ump an underachieved achiever, maybe.
Yeah,
Halo 5, he's done.
Ump was so consistent through his entire career, though. You know, every course he ever
Except
competed
Halo
on,
4 on Smokies.
he was like up. Well, yeah, but
Yeah, apart
that's
from
only
that.
because he you know.
He half-assed it. He focused on mine.
I don't know. Maybe Pixel.
I think that's true. He's one of them.
You've actually been quite privileged. You actually were quite privileged, Swan, because you got to see Ree when he did Smokey's Tournament 19.
Right.
Which I wasn't there for that. I presume you haven't seen any of Drago's Halo 5 attempts, but obviously Ree, when he did Smokey's Halo 5, he got to stage 2, and it'd been like a couple of years since he'd done any kind of Halo jumping.
So then let's flip it around, Hunter, shall we?
I'll love to answer this question.
Let's go to the most underrated jumper of all time and right now.
I know my answers to these as well. I also want to talk about overrated real quick after.
Let me think.
Okay, whilst you're thinking, Puma, hit me with. Hit me.
Alright, most overrated jumper right now? Oh man, I think.
Puma's got a list.
Honestly, I'm gonna say Chris. I'm gonna say Chris is a little overrated.
If you said that before Snoz was here, then
We put Chris
you
on
might have got
such a
away
high
with this.
pedestal, but the thing is, he never delivers.
I would say
By that
he's
same-
the most. I will say this. He's probably, if you want to also throw in most underachieving jumper, for as good as Chris is, he's underachieved.
Yeah, Chris is a
Because
huge
if you
underachiever.
just say,
Chris is kind of hit and miss.
because if you were not saying Ninja Warrior tournaments, you were just saying jumping, who's the best?
Chris is the best.
Chris
pure
is at the
jumper.
very top with Smokey and Fireball.
Sane, Paddy.
You know, it's Sane's the other underachiever. I would say it's Sane and Chris, meaning they're better than their performances have shown.
Oh no, Swan like that.
Swan.
I'll get
He
him.
can't handle this type of talk. He's
got him.
intimidated.
He's a
Yeah,
Chris
so
lover.
I'd say Chris is the most overrated jumper right now, and then of all time.
But that doesn't
Honestly-
make sense. How is he overrated when he hasn't performed well
Because
enough? to
everyone
even be
always-
Overrated and
Really
underachieved,
far
maybe
off
slightly. Well, I always make this comparison between Chris and the other guy, but by that same logic, couldn't you have applied this to Paddy when Paddy was around?
No, Patty
Well,
was
that's not
overrated to some degree. for
Patty
sure.
is well. Patty's an underachiever. It's the same thing as far as if you're talking best jumpers. Patty and Chris have the same kind of path. I don't even know who's done more successful over the time.
Chris, I would say.
But it's tough because
I think
Patty will
it's
always
close.
do your guys' courses, even if he really
Yeah.
hasn't fully prepared. Right? He'll support everything.
The thing about
So,
so I'd say Chris is the most overrated.
and that's
as of
all I
right
have
now.
to say about Swan.
But then of
But
all
that's not you saying. That's not you saying he's a bad jumper, though. Let's make that clear.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then of all time, I gotta say Phil. He's probably the most overrated.
No, overrated.
He's
He's saying.
saying overrated. See, underachieving and overrated kind of are similar, but they're not.
Phil is he's underachieving, not overrated. But yeah, I'd say honestly,
Just between between Smokey's first half of his courses when he took Smokey's, a little more serious, and what he's done in Aborigines, which is dominate so far and away from second place overall. I mean, I don't know how overrated he is.
I think the most overrated of all time, and I don't know if you guys heard me say this a second ago because I crashed out of the party, but and it's gonna piss Hunter off when I say this, okay?
Overrated. Go on.
The most overrated of all time is Dom the Bomb.
He's up there. I agree.
Overrated.
He's pretty overrated.
If you knew Dom back in the day, then perhaps I would partly agree with you because Dom was a bit more of a Joker guy, but he was if you knew him back in the day, you would have known that he was a really nice guy to hang out with. He was not. I could probably name on one hand. I could probably name on one hand the amount of times he raged at stuff or got angry. He was so chilled.
No, he was always laughing. He was a fun.
He was
guy.
always laughing. He was always making jokes. He was always funny. Snoz got first-hand experience of him on the quiz that we did on Halo 4.
That was so fun. I feel for you to say overrated. I mean, it's not like when you say the best jumpers of all time, Dom doesn't jump out as a name, so I don't know what you necessarily mean by overrated.
He was rated as an all-star.
He deserved to be one on Hunter's course.
Yeah.
And I think he deserved it on Smokey's course, but I would say he just deserved it. I think there's the reason why he was the last. He was fifth.
I would have picked Sleepy.
The problem with Sleepy was we didn't know how much Sleepy was around. That was the thing. Sleepy was in and out of tournaments.
Yeah.
I mean,
how cool would that have been having Sleepy as an all-star?
Pretty up there.
Exposed, I think, slightly too early. It's the same reason why perhaps Gotenks didn't become an all-star at the end of Tournament 12. I mean, part of it was because Smokey decided to wait a few tournaments into the Xbox One, but it was also because Gotenks was still quite short into his career.
That's why when Smokey made the decision to make me, Hunter, and Gotenks the first 3 all-stars, a lot of people were like, why wasn't one of the first 3?
You want to know something really weird?
What?
I've only had one interaction with Expose ever. I've never talked to him. I've never been in a party with him. But somehow, when Rog was going to do the Team Spartan Sasuke after Tournament 1 or 2, I somehow ended up on Expose's team. I don't know how. By the way, I will say, I loved the Team Spartan Sasuke course, and anyone who says it was trash can fucking bite my balls.
I don't even think I've ever even heard this. I don't even think I've ever even heard this before.
I'm thinking I got a new category.
Oh God, yeah.
Because I already have my answer, but who would you consider at the top of the list for sneaky good at jumping?
Sneaky good. Is that the technical term?
That's the only.
Is that like surprising? Do you mean like surprising?
Isn't that like the same?
It's like people don't really realize how good he really is.
That's underrated.
Oh.
Now I have an easy answer.
I would say Phil.
It's not. No, Phil's known because of Aborigines. He's not sneaky at all.
Well, I guess not anymore.
Well, you know what I mean.
Go on then. Apply your logic so I can try and understand what you mean.
So my answer is not quite as good as it would have been 3 or 4 months ago, but for me it would be like Z Master. He's sneaky good.
Yeah.
But now people are
starting
starting to figure it out now, though.
A volcanic crowd. Volcanic crowd for me.
I'm going for my boy Irish.
I was about to say that, Hunter. I really was.
I've jumped
he's
with
gotten good. But even Philip, man, he was performing all right.
So I'm not giving any spoilers away. Me and Snoz were in a party late last night my time with Irish and Philip Scott. Philip Scott was practicing for Smokey's Tournament 22. And another guy that was in there was a friend of the two of them. I don't know if he's like a friend from all that Sasuke podcast Discord stuff that they do. Bookcase, I think his name is. His name's Brandon. And again, without giving spoilers away, I'd never seen the dude jump before, and oh my god, was he actually quite good.
Yeah. And he was a nice guy too.
Yeah.
No, you know who I do actually want to throw in there for underrated? Is Atlantic.
Because, I was gonna say Flame. I think Flame's so underappreciated.
Yeah, Flame.
Flame. Look. Flame pisses me off because Flame can be so fucking good, but he's so damn lazy.
Depressing is the word I was going to use.
Flame doesn't want to put in the fucking work to be a good jumper.
No, I will defend Flame. Flame literally
Oh, here
for
we
this
go.
ROG tournament practiced his
Okay,
dick
yeah,
off
that's
for
the
like
first time.
8 centuries.
Okay, look, he'll do that.
I-
But he doesn't ever
Yes.
try.
Dude, he
doesn't
literally
ever
put in
try to
100
improve-
practice attempts a
He
day.
doesn't. He doesn't try to improve his actual game. He practices the course. He doesn't try to be a better jumper, is what I mean.
There's a difference between
I mean,
being
to be
good
fair,
at a
though,
jumping
how-
course and being a good jumper. I'm a shitty
That's what
jumper.
I'm
I'm just
talking
good at
about.
courses.
Flame
How often
could be a great jumper.
No, he doesn't care about being a jumper. He cares about being a ninja.
Okay, they train.
And a dinosaur.
I got much better at the courses once I started getting better at everything all around.
I think there's
And
no
Flame-
correlation between
Flame
being good
could
at
be-
courses and being good at jumping. That's
How
my
often
opinion.
does
There's
Flame usually
absolutely a
practice though and
correlation.
still gets to
You
stage
can
3?
look at my career for evidence that it definitely fucking translates.
There's really none at all. Like Avowed never does fucking jump maps, and he clears.
Wait. We don't know that. We don't know that though. For all we know, he could.
He's never on it. He didn't know how to drive a fucking mongoose. What makes you think he plays Halo consistently?
He also doesn't know how to play Griff Ball, the slag.
No, look, like after like Spartan Sasuke like 6, I think, is when I started like trying to actually improve my all-around game and stuff and like get better, like just in skill, not just get better at the obstacles.
Well,
And
And how to do
yeah,
curtain
because
clings.
getting better at
Yeah.
jumping doesn't help
And
you.
after that, it did help me. I took off.
There's very few people that could look at a course blindly and just clear it, no matter what.
And I'm fucking one of them.
No. I would say it's Phil.
How about we go on to
What was the-
19 stage 1 right now? Let's prove that.
Oh
No.
no, we're not having a
No.
competition.
Okay.
You know, actually, I have a sub question then.
I'm playing
I have a
Vulcan
sub question then. What was the would you say then? Tournament 6 of Spartan. What tournament on Spartan Sasuke? Because Spartan Sasuke is the one that you did the most. What tournament would you say is the one where you really started to realize that you were you could be one of the top guys on maybe on the course?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Tournament 8.
Eight.
Okay.
Hey, that's when he became an all-star.
That's when he got to the pipe saga.
That tournament 8 was like, I don't know, like it was like I kind of like started to make a bit of a breakthrough. I just kind of started to make such like so much progress, and like I got like way better, and like everyone started like acknowledging it and stuff, and I got this really big ego and shit, and you know, like that's a whole other fucking deal is the ego of Swantron 97, which is that's
Well,
a
hey,
whole.
no one really likes Puma as a jumper. You know, it's
Look,
an acquired
Dan,
taste.
Dan, I was before
Danny
I started
boy.
competing. I was the biggest fucking Puma fan. Do you realize
So
that?
why were you such a fan of Puma? Like, what the fuck did Puma do? Like, I
Because you came out of nowhere. Okay, look, everyone who watches those and gets really into them wants to do what you did and what I did, where you just come out of nowhere and you start competing at at least decently high level, which is basically what you did, and that's why I was so into like watching you
Unless you
compete.
me though.
Was because like you know, just this
Well,
guy
what's it-
comes out of nowhere, and
well, I
then like
remember
at
after, yeah.
one point you're like, this guy's gonna get to the final, and it took a little bit longer than it should have, but
It
Can I
happens
just throw a
eventually.
question on top of what y'all are saying? Who competing now would you say might be on that level, say in like a year or two?
well,
When we go to Infinite.
Of
Yes,
like
true.
a good jumper who could nearly make the final stage.
Well, Petrillo's
Yes.
making. Vulcan just said
Like
Petrillo.
some-
I would say Petrillo's already making strides on Halo
Pedro's
5.
already making strides.
Yeah, but he hasn't made it to
honest-
stage 3
I'm
though.
honestly not.
He made a
not-
stage 3?
Yeah. Oh,
Alright.
Good save, Vulcan.
I'm
Puma.
not involved enough in the community to really know anymore.
No,
Yeah, to be
I,
fair.
I
At one
would
point, I thought
say-
it'd be long shot, but he kind of disappeared.
no, I would say either
Longshot shows up to do the tournaments,
I think
that's about
Sonic,
it.
Once he starts getting a little older, will like actually become a good jumper.
Long shot has
Sonic.
the potential, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
Actually, I have another sub question then. Actually, before we get back to the main question, what was the? Can you remember what the first thing Halo jumping related was that you saw that made you think, oh, actually, I might want to do this?
Okay. I told you I'd tell you the truth about everything. Okay.
Watch him. Puma.
You can't remember
And
this.
This one is gonna be rough to admit. So
It's not mine or Smokey's, is it?
So all of this started because one day I was sitting on my couch and I remembered that when I was younger I used to watch Ninja Warrior on G4, and I also watched American Ninja Warrior. Like I watched back in like Levi Muhlenberg days, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
I fucking love Levi.
Hell yeah.
Dude, I fucking know. He's like a farmer now or some shit. It's weird.
He's a fucking Amish man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't get
but
off subject. Focus.
so I thought there, I was like, oh, I want to watch American Ninja Warrior. And so I went on YouTube and I searched American Ninja Warrior. And the first thing that came up was, I don't even know if I can say it, Roblox Ninja Warrior.
Oh my god. It's worse than I thought.
Oh no.
What a fucking weenie.
What a
And-
fucking moron.
And I watched it, right? And at one point there was a guy who competed, and it was like this kid who pretended to be Gotenks, right? And
What?
And then,
What?
like looking back, it's very obvious it wasn't actually Gotenks. But the host
Who knows?
like
Maybe-
fully
maybe
believed
it
it. He was like, this is Gotenks from Halo Ninja Warrior. And like I had been into Halo like since I was a kid, and like in my brain I was like, duh, that's a fucking great idea. I'm sure someone like this guy's saying like that's the thing. I gotta go fucking check that out. And so the very first thing Halo jumping related that I ever watched was it was the Halo Ninja Warrior Championship.
Oh,
And,
we'll know how that ended.
And so I believe the episode I watched had both and Puma in there,
Yep, you're
Yeah.
both in it.
which were
Is that the you don't understand the
Which
trouble of the cripple?
which were both the guys that I rooted for, which I hate,
Yeah.
which is embarrassing
So,
to admit. In
I
front of
lost a
Dan.
Puma in there.
Yeah, Snoz lost it. Also, the results haven't come out, so I just want to say Hunter and I were tied going into the final round of the championship, and I beat him by 11. Fucking whooped Hunter. Fucking
Rip Hunter.
whooped him.
Got cleaned out at
I
the
had
end.
bread and butter turned him 11. Fucking whooped him. on
You
that
were
bread and butter.
sweaty
Yeah.
back then, Puma. You were sweaty.
Can I tell my story
Look.
of how I got into jumping?
Oh, let's.
Yeah,
let's
I
hear
want to
it.
hear this because this is good because this
My jumping story is
evolved
pretty cool.
into a
I
fairly
mean, this
big
whole
tournament.
podcast, this whole like learning about people's first experiences could be a whole different podcast.
Well, we're
So
just-
I was
this is fun.
searching up
Hunter's got some
re-uploads
editing
of
to do.
Ninja Warrior UK because this was back when it was first airing, right? So I was
2015.
looking it up. Yep.
Yeah.
And I found the
Looking
first
for me.
episode. It was uploaded by ExtremeUKGaming. I was like,
Got a
I want to
onesie
see
he's
if he has
got
more
on.
episodes, and that's how I discovered Ninja Warrior of Halo. It was like Tournament
And,
14, Episode
is that
7, where
onesie
Smokey
he's
got
got
to the
on?
final.
And then Rog went on to idolize Hunter.
Where did you,
and then
Rog?
Hunter
Were you
went on
like,
to hate Rog.
did you instantly fall in love with the concept, Rog, or was it love?
I fell in love with it.
Okay,
Maybe
I-
that's
like, hey, I
that's
wanna
another
do
thing. That's Swan. That's another thing for another podcast. The initial Hunter Rog relationship.
The
It's
beans-
good now.
Oh,
It's good
yeah.
now, but the initial relationship, that's for a whole different
my
podcast.
Maybe we'll
And
get
then we
into
get other
this
beans.
later on, but also, I'll say that what I did was, so when I discovered the Halo Ninja Warrior thing, right, I didn't have any internet or Xbox Live, right? So I had no way of I had no way of competing, and even then, like I had an Xbox 360. Everyone was already moved on to MCC. And so I had no way of accessing the courses or competing at all. So I built my own on Halo 4. I built like 25 different ones that I would just constantly jump on every day, right? And then finally, I got a job working selling emoji pillows, and I used my paycheck to buy an Xbox One, and I signed up for Rog's course on, or no, okay. So I messaged Smokey, and I was like, "Hey, I want to compete in your course." And he's like, "Okay, well, you'll have to qualify." And I was in my brain, I thought that was like a normal thing. Like I thought like every tournament, like 500 people showed up and wanted to compete, and they all had to qualify. qualify.
Could be
And then-
once we move to Infinite.
And then so
Oh.
when I did
That's
the
right.
qualifying thing, and then he told me I got first place, I was like, I just like beat like 500 people. It was actually like 7 people trying to qualify. but like, so then like the next day, Rog's Spartan Sasuke 1 announcement video pops up in my YouTube feed, and I clicked on it, and then
I want to know then
signed
why
up.
you were subscribed to a channel that had Lego Sasuke content.
Lego Sasuke!
No, it was like a recommended video because
Lego
I had watched so many
Halo
Oh,
Ninja
no!
Warrior stuff.
No, I just remembered. The night before, I took a bunch of Vicodin, right? I did a shit ton of drugs, got really drunk and crossfaded. And I was just
Oh my
on
God.
YouTube. I was just like trolling around YouTube, and I fucking found Lego Sasuke, and I watched the entire
shit.
I watched the entire thing
Johnny!
while I was stoned out of my mind. I enjoyed it thoroughly. And then
Why is this Lego floating?
and then I subscribed to his channel. And then the next day, that video popped up, and I signed up. Oh my god, I forgot about that.
That's a whole other podcast as well. Everyone's first experience of like finding Halo jumping on YouTube.
The fuck?
I mean, I'll give you my one
Okay.
because it's been used because I've told it so many times. I'm a Spartan Warrior boy, and I tried to sign up for the last ever Spartan Warrior tournament. Obviously, at the time, I didn't know it was the last one, and back then it was like a live. Well, sorry, it wasn't live, but the whole thing was filmed in one day. So he would set a day. Whoever turned up, and you were either in the tournament or not. It was a pretty efficient way to get tournaments done, I'll admit.
Yeah.
And I stayed up, because back in those days I could only stay up late for so long. And I convinced my parents to let me stay up long enough to try and get a run in. And I couldn't connect to the lobby. And eventually it got so late that I was like, okay, I'm going to have to get off. There's always next tournament. And then it got cancelled.
So my first experience,
And then you
I could have
started
been a
your
jumper
course.
on Hunter's course back on the Halo Reach days if I kept searching. So I wanted to see what Halo Ninja Warrior was like, and it was this guy on Halo 3 that made this like video of him doing a stage 1, but with like the G4 style and like Japanese.
You're
stuff.
talking about the one on Foundry.
On
No,
Sandbox.
that video was on Halo 3.
Yeah, so I said.
So, yeah, he said Halo. He said Halo 3.
around
He
the
said Halo
Reach
3.
days.
Yeah,
So then what ended up happening? It was late. It was the summer of 2014, and I was watching this guy BB Boxer 44 uploaded all the Sasuke tournaments, and I was watching his, and I was like, I want to watch that Halo Ninja Warrior video that I watched a few years ago, and then Hunter's channel popped up, and I watched one episode of Tournament 13, and then I messaged him.
You picked a good tournament. That was a good tournament because it was edited. The special effects were done by Kenny.
Yeah, I was like, this guy, he's
we're
like, he's
gonna
done
have
everything really
podcast.
good. Like,
I'm
this
pretty
is
sure that
professional.
13 is Hunter turn. I'm pretty sure. I don't remember everything about it, but I'm pretty sure that either 12 or 13 was my favorite. Is 13 the one that had like the weird looking jump hang?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my favorite one. But
I like that 13 because it was so fast paced, the stage
yeah.
one.
So yeah, if you guys didn't think that I was gonna tell the truth about everything, the Roblox Ninja Warrior and then watching Lego Sasuke, I think that proves that I'm gonna tell the truth about everything. Let's bust open some jumps.
Alright, anyway, now onto since we've covered two of the courses, let's move on to the third one. Halo Ninja Warrior. Your career as a Halo Ninja Warrior competitor. I think it fits in with Ninja Warrior of Halo in using one word. Short.
Yep.
Yeah,
Short but sweet.
Underwhelming.
I haven't gotten to compete in many of your guys' tournaments because for a long time you guys just didn't run tournaments.
Yeah. Regretfully, life has caught up with both me and Smokey a bit more than we perhaps realized on Halo 5.
And you know, honestly, at a certain point, I just didn't really like the courses that Smokey was building anymore. You know, like I hate to say that. I hate to say that, but like I just don't really like the obstacles he uses anymore, and I'm not big on the style he uses anymore. And honestly, I'm I'm not too big on the way that Rog's building his courses anymore. Like,
Wow.
I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it. I've always had a problem with Rog's gigantic fucking cartoon obstacles, right? Like I've always wanted.
Wow.
Look, I'm telling the truth about everything here. I've always wanted Rog to make things fucking smaller. I've literally taken Rog into Forge and showed him what I think his course should look like. And he was like,
And I
nah.
was stupid enough to follow a lot of those suggestions.
Well, you know what? Every time you would use my suggestions, you would get positive feedback. So...
Not always. I mean, there were some crap obstacles we made that didn't get used, but were still crap. I remember one we had like a mini flying chute. Another
Dude, no,
was
that
like
was badass. The mini flying chute was badass. Okay, I want to find that, show it to everyone. I want to put it on my fucking course. All right, because that thing, I forget what we called it, but that thing was fucking badass.
mini flying
right?
chute.
It was basically like a smaller, more faster paced, timing based flying chute, right? So you like it was easier, right? But it was like built to be like the third or fourth obstacle on stage 1, right? And so like the point was you would just like get on it and it'd be over in a second. Because one problem that Rog had was his courses were way too fucking long. All of his obstacles took like 20 fucking seconds to do. So he had these like fucking 2.5 minute time limits, right? And so one of my solutions.
I mean, that was only for like one season. Let's be fair.
Well, I
Like,
built that
5 through 8.
I built that during that season, and oh no, I built that during season 3. But whatever.
Yes.
That obstacle, I forget what we called it, but that was a really good obstacle, and it functioned really good, and it looked really good. I loved that fucking obstacle. But yeah, Rog has used a lot of my obstacles actually. I've built a lot of obstacles for Rog. And
Okay.
He's borrowed.
How many did I actually use, though? Let's think about that.
Dude, okay, listen, Rog. I could literally go through and name at least like 20 obstacles.
Wasn't
That-
these
Funnily enough, back in the day, I could have done that as well.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not saying I have a problem with it. It's reality. But Smokey's tournament, I will say that the first time I competed, so I wasn't that good back then, but I practiced really hard and I tried really hard and I failed the flying shoot.
I had that great moment after it where I said, if you had to qualify again, I will eat a hat.
Yeah, I remember that. But you know what? I probably should have beat that flying shoot, but I was like so fucking nervous and shit, right? And then the next tournament.
It was when you got to stage 3.
Did I make stage 3 the next tournament? Tournament 18. Yeah, that's right.
18 was the one where you had to do. I think you had like a trials course thing for everyone's numbers.
And
oh yeah.
Me and Puma ranked really high on that. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Puma was 50, you were 48. And I'm pretty sure you were the last stage 1, Claire, and you were the last guy to go on stage 3.
Yeah.
Which for a first timer to be a first timer on stage 3 to be the last guy to go would be almost impossible to happen anymore.
Well, I was the second timer, but
No, it was your first time on stage 3, I mean.
Oh yeah, dude, I just remember. So first of all, me and practiced that so much. Like we would literally. So like, I don't know. Like I didn't have a lot going on in my life back then. So like I was just kind of like on Xbox all the time, and was in college, so he was on all the time, and so we would just like sit there and we just like practice, and we like put a floor under stage 3, and we would just like do it, not even like really paying much attention to it, but just kind of like getting like a subconscious familiarity with it. And I was to a point where I could beat that stage 3 pretty consistently, and honestly, I probably should have done better than I did. But you see what happened was I got to the crazy cliffhanger, and I was like, okay, there is like a 50% chance of me beating this cliffhanger. And then I beat it. I get to the other side, and then I just have this feeling, you know, like, okay, so the first course I ever watched was Smokey's. Like, when I discovered Smokey's tournament, I literally watched them all in order in, like, a week. And so, like, there was this part in me that was, like, this super Halo Ninja Warrior fan. And then, like, beating the crazy cliffhanger was just like, I don't know. It was like such like it kind of like crazy feeling, and I was like so fucking happy that I did not give a fuck if like lightning struck me right there, and I just fucking fell off the course. And so when I started doing the vertical limit, like I just wasn't like focused. I was just like completely like I was like I just beat the cliffhanger like so. I really didn't like give the vertical limit as good of a attempt as I should have. I should have done better on that stage 3 than I did, but I'm still very proud of that run.
Yeah. I mean, let it be remembered that you did at least get back to stage 2 again. It wasn't a one-off tournament.
Yeah, I made it to stage 2 the next tournament because I failed. What did I fail?
Medal spin.
Dan,
You were one of many people to fail the medal spin in that tournament.
Oh, I cannot believe I failed that fucking medal spin.
Yeah, you were
Dude.
angry. You wanted to quit jumping after that.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, I was kind of getting to a point where, like, mainly because of, like, shit going on in my life, I just kind of, like, I was getting to a quitting point, and then I actually did reach a quitting point eventually. Because around that time in my life, I was about 2 months removed from, like, a fucking mental hospital. So, had a couple issues I had to deal with and work through there. But then the next tournament, I failed the dragon slider or whatever, and that was the one where I just kind of like I was like I can't fucking do this anymore, because like okay, there are a couple reasons why that was like the moment. It was like, first of all, the reason I quit was it was partially because of the shaky hand thing, and it was just like upsetting that I couldn't like compete as good as I could. Second was I honestly just couldn't fucking hack it anymore, Like, I was just to a point where I wasn't going to put in the practice necessary, and, like, the difficulty of the courses had kind of caught up to me because I had been slacking in, like, how much I was jumping and stuff. I wasn't as good as I used to be. And then, the reason that was such an issue was because by then I had developed such a fucking toxic ego that the idea of not being one of the top guys was like unbearable for me. I couldn't stand not like having everybody think I was fucking great. I had the most fucking toxic ego in the history of Halo jumping. You
had that mindset of like every tournament you would go into, you had to get to stage 3, otherwise it wasn't a successful tournament.
Well, that's not always a bad thing, but that's not what it was about anymore. It was about I wanted everyone to think I was like fucking great. It was like the way that I joke about like it's all about me, everybody talk about me. I like actually got to a point where I was actually acting like that,
Yeah.
Like I was like a fucking total attention whore, and I wanted everyone to talk about how great I was, and it was just such a fucking toxic thing that like it's embarrassing that I ever even fucking acted like that.
So I'm trying to get the dates right on this then. Well, actually, I have just realised that 4 tournament block, what's quite funny is that however hit and miss or however good you were in that 4 tournament block on Halo Ninja Warrior, you actually did better than me in 3 of those 4 tournaments. So I did better than you on your debut, and then you got... I think all of the 3 tournaments after that, 18, 19, 20, we failed the same stage, but you got further than me on each occasion.
Yeah, and like if you watch my channel, you watch that Swan's quest to Spartan Saucy All-Star or whatever, I mentioned at one point where like despite it being like absolute taboo to like celebrate doing better than somebody, I would do that shit all the time, man. Like it just in my brain I'd just be like, you know what?
Drago.
I beat Drago. I wasn't even there for that. I'm not allowed to quote that meme. But like, if I like,
You have beat Drago
for some reason.
occasions.
For some reason, Fireball was the one that I was always like really happy with myself if I beat it. I don't know why. Because Fireball is hands down a better jumper than me. That's probably why, honestly, actually. But the fact that I like ever tried to fool myself into thinking I was better than Fireball is just kind of fucking ludicrous. The fact of the matter is I was going around trying to preach to everybody that I was a top 3 jumper. That's like something I was actually saying to people. I was never better than like number 6, you know. And any better I ever did with that, it was fluctuation, you know. Like I literally just made a complete and total ass out of myself, you know. Like I fed into that whole fucking toxic, like everyone has the whole joke, like half joke thing where they're like, oh yeah, fuck the Roblox kids, right? You know, all that shit. I would sit there and on one hand I would be like, oh, we have to cut out this whole Roblox kid thing, man. That's toxic. We're bullying them. And then I would fucking do it myself. It was the most fucking like, it was the most childish, toxic shit in the entire fucking world, dude. And it's just, oh my god.
I'm trying to work out the dates now on this. Like I said, so you'd obviously were going through the period, the stuff that was happening to you in your actual life at a set period in time. Rog can really answer this for me. What tournament, or when did Tournament 13 happen?
May of 2018.
I'm trying to sync that up with with the other tournaments.
Okay, so basically, May 2018, I made the final stage, and that was really like that was like an unbelievable amount of like commitment and dedication I did. Where I was just like, I am sick of like coming up shorter than I think I should, and I just really fucking like knuckled down, you know. But
was that almost an all or nothing tournament for you?
Kinda. It was really just kind of like I really just kind of like isolate myself in my room, actually, because like there was a lot of stuff going on in my personal life that like got me to a point where I wasn't talking to a lot of people, and I just kind of like isolated myself and jumped until May, June, July, August. About August, I ended up in a mental hospital because I was drinking. I was drinking all the time, getting drunk every day, doing drugs and shit, and I had all these fucking mental issues that I had let go untreated for like 5 years, and I went through like not breakups, but like I went through like 3 different girls in like 4 months, and after that, like I was just like so fucked up and shit, right? I ended up in this mental hospital, and then when I came out, it was like after I got out, me and Emily got together, and like I just like I couldn't like prioritize jumping nearly as much as I ever had before, because now all of a sudden it was like I had to focus on kind of like getting my entire fucking life back together, and then when there was that moment where I failed the Dragon Glider and Smokies, it was just like, like it doesn't make sense for me to keep doing this anymore, because I can't stand to do bad, but I also can't stand to put in the work to do good. So then I, made up a couple excuses for why it's not my fault and blah blah blah, and I fucking fucked off.
Yeah.
And now I'm back.
I think you said May 2018, so I mean mine and Smokey's courses both happened about 2 or 3 months after that. So you kind of hit the peak in Spa and Sasuke, and then obviously, but things were still going on around before that time and around that time. But then after that happened, obviously, is a lot of it hit you, and then you did mine and Smokey's tournament 20s, and then obviously, as you said, proceeded to bugger off.
Well, you know what? The thing is, the run that I did for your course recently, I don't know if you want me to avoid spoiling it off, so I'm not going to say it. Like, even though I didn't clear stage 1, I will spoil that. I didn't clear stage 1. But that was still such like a, I don't know, it still just felt so good, just to be in like a party with like all my buddies again, like doing this stupid fucking jumping thing that I loved so much again, and like you know, having everyone like get super hype and cheer me on, and like, you know, that like adrenaline rush you get from like competing and stuff, the nervousness that you get, and being under the time limit and shit, knowing that it's gonna go up on YouTube, people are gonna watch it and stuff. It felt so fucking nice, and the fact that I did halfway decent was even better. You know, I could have failed the jumping spider, and I would have been okay. You know.
I can definitely remember, because I think I can safely say I haven't had many opportunities to have it on Rog's course, but the buzz of clearing stage 1 in 17 was a similar thing. Standing at the top there, I remember Fireball. Me and him were like we're going to stage 3 together this tournament, and we both got there. The buzz of clearing stage 1, because it had been so long on Rog's course. I mean, part of that was because I'd not competed in a few tournaments, but that's a whole other thing. The buzz of clearing stage 1 again is probably, I think, a similar thing to what you were talking about. I guess that brings us on to the other jumping course, because we have to talk about it. I mean, where do we begin with talking about abs?
Oh god.
Oh my god.
You guys want to know how Aborigines started?
Yes.
Well, it was idea from like Reach.
So yeah, Ump ran a course in Halo Reach called Aborigines Warrior, and he always like.
I remember it. I remember
it.
I did it.
Yeah, he always the entire time I knew him, he always joked about bringing it back, which I've kind of picked up from knowing him, that if he jokes about something that much, he's serious about it, you know? So what we started doing after a while is we would start binge watching all the tournaments. Like we binge watched Spartan Warrior, because needed me to be educated about Spartan Warrior if I was going to hang out, you know?
If you wanted to be friends with you needed to watch Spartan Warrior.
That is an important thing if you want to hang out with is you got to know your shit about Spartan Warrior. And so then we like had so much fun watching that like we went and we watched Smokey's tournament, and then we watched Hunter's tournament. Which, by the way, the amount of fucking airtime in Hunter's tournament is about 5 times the amount of Halo Ninja Warrior and Spartan Warrior put fucking together. Like I like Hunter, you make great tournaments and everything, but watching them all back to back to back is hard.
A movie marathon.
It's a lot.
I will attest as someone who's currently rewatching them.
What we did while we were watching him is we would talk shit on the course and on the competitors and on the hosts and stuff, just like, you know, like spewing toxic shit everywhere like we do, you know. And then we were like, you know what, we can make our own fucking tournament and do exactly this. And because me and him would always bitch about stuff from the courses that we didn't like, and we would always like kind of half joke about like we should just make our own fucking course where we do it exactly the way we think it should fucking be done. And so, you know, just eventually we both got drunk and we forged a course and ran it. Okay, the original Aborigines won. So
10 people.
The original Aborigines won course. So stage 1 was exactly the way it was. Stage 2 is a little bit different, but not really enough. Stage 3 on Abs 1 ended up being like 6 to 8 obstacles. The original
That was 13 obstacles.
The original one was 13 to 15 obstacles.
What the hell?
Yep, I remember that.
Because we were just drunk out of our minds, and we were just like, let's do another one. And I kept coming up with these cool ideas, so we just kept throwing them in there until we had this super fucking long thing. And eventually, wouldn't just cut it out. But then, like, a couple days later, we ran the tournament. We very crudely put it together, and it just, like, I don't know, everyone just liked it so much that, like, we were encouraged to do a second one. And then people didn't really give much of a shit about the second one, but we were having enough fun at that point that we did a third one on that beautiful Season 1 average. Can we just mention, side note, for a second how beautiful the Season 1 Aborigines course is?
I preferred the Season 2,
Like,
to be
really?
honest.
Yes.
Yeah, season 2.
It's just, it looks so nice. Like, it's not like, you know, like
sadly, I gotta tap out. I gotta hop off. So,
Damn,
Oh,
damn it,
Puma.
Dan.
Ah,
Ethan Swan. It was fun yelling at
Daniel.
you.
It was fun yelling at you, Dan Pizzetta.
Alrighty.
One day we shall take our trip to Maine.
Only if you let me have 5 pounds of salami.
You know what? Fucking fine. You can have your damn salami.
Good. That's on video now. Alright.
Yeah, but
Bye-bye.
now you've been outed as a salami enthusiast.
There's no shame in that. Gary.
Later on, buddy.
Alright, later, Puma.
What was I talking about? Oh yeah,
Talking about abs.
the
Season
original-
1.
The original season 1 course, it's just it's not that great. You know, there's not a lot of like, you know, high level work put into it, but it's just, I don't know, something about it. Just like, it's got such like a charm to it. You know,
Simplicity of it, really.
Yeah, yeah, that is one thing. But basically, we did Tournament 3, and I just remember Tournament 3 was a fucking blast, right? Like, everyone was, like, getting super into it. We just had so much fun in Tournament 3. And then Tournament 4
Remember
was kinda...
Tournament 2.5?
Oh, yeah, I'll talk about that in a second. But Tournament 4 was kind of meh. But then I remember Tournament 5 was, like, when, like, interest in Aborigines was, like, in an all-time high, right?
Yeah.
And
I think
everybody-
that's around the time I started taking abs seriously.
Like, everybody fucking showed up, and like, so many people were like doing runs and like having such a good time. We had like multiple stage 3s, and honestly, after that, I think one thing that kind of hindered the popularity of the show was insisted on making the next tournament like really fucking hard. Like, towards the second half of season 1 and all through season 2, we kind of like had this like back and forth debate where I would be like, make the course easier, we should have more success, more stage 3s and stuff. And then Ump presented a very valid argument, which I couldn't always wholly disagree with, where he would say, if we make it easier to get to stage 3, then the thrill of people making it to stage 3 won't be as great. Like, it won't matter as much when people make stage 3. Which is true, and I couldn't dispute that, so we never really made it that much easier. But, honestly, season 1, though, was so nice. Like, just from everything from, like, the early tournaments where everyone was getting hyped to the rise of Phil. Season 2, I'm not that much of a fan of, you know? Like, it was cool that we saw Phil get total victory. That was really cool. Honestly, just like, I don't know. Season 2 is just,
Season
Except
2 is
for-
the Phil train for the most part.
Okay, I seem to
Yeah.
remember, like, I remember 18, 19, and 20 I really liked. And
'Cause
also,
Wasn't
'Cause it's
18
something
the
different.
one, like, where you had that mega rant?
was that 18 or 17?
17 was 17
Okay,
was
well, not
the happiest I've heard you, because somebody finally decided not to be a choke boy and finally cleared stage 1. The end of 17 was the happiest I've ever heard you in an abs tournament.
Oh yeah, when I think it was you, when you finally
Yes.
cleared,
Yes.
I was so fucking pumped. And I will also say that the limited amount of season 3 tournaments that have come out, there's one that's still up on YouTube right now. The other one got copyright strikes, so I got to re-upload it. And then another one I'm currently editing, like kind of here and there. Those are all really solid. I really like those 3. I'll also say another course is that I'm working on doing some of the editing for that I recently found all the files to is a certain other course I used to run that I stopped doing because I started doing
Ultimate Warrior?
Nah.
Ninja
No.
Beat.
Ninja Paradise.
Ninja Paradise, oh god.
I started putting
Forgot about that
that
one.
together. I'm just like
Ninja something.
I'm just like fucking having fun with it, like editing Ninja Paradise 3. Like I'm literally just like doing whatever the fuck I want, not taking it seriously at all, putting barely any effort into it. But you know what? That's a beautiful fucking course. Ninja Paradise, That is a beautiful fucking course.
Wasn't that the one you and Chris collaborated on?
Chris helped me do the background. I did all the obstacles and stuff like that. All right.
I think the only other abs questions I had was just how much of a disappointment was I to you on abs?
You know, all your disappointments were worth your resurgence at the end, you know? Like, it was worth, like, you sucking that long for when you finally did good to be that excited, you know?
I think I will admit that particularly throughout the whole of Season 1, I did not care. I just basically turned up, did a run, and that was about it.
You know, I mean, it was never meant to be taken that seriously.
Yeah,
oh, dude,
I think it was summed up by my Tournament 4 run, because I got to like the last jump and failed it, and I was like, oh well. And then I think I proceeded to not get to the last obstacle again until Tournament 11, and then
where you ran out of time.
And then Season 2 started, and I came first place, and at that point I suddenly realised, I've never cleared Stage 1 on this.
Season
As
2
and Smokey, where you were cleared Stage 1 every tournament.
Yeah.
You know what the weird thing is that, like, with Season 2, like, if I, like, look at it, I'm like, that's, like, a very well-built stage, you know? Like, the lighting's nice, everything looks really cool. But why do I like Season 1 so much better, you know?
I think the only reason...
the simplicity of it.
I was going to say the fact that you actually have different people do well in it. Basically, Season 2... apart from a few hit or miss tournaments here or there, the only 3 people that did semi-decent in Season 2 on a consistent basis were me, Smokey, and Phil. And, like, me and Smokey took forever. Smokey, I don't even know when into Season 2 Smokey cleared Stage 1 again. I don't know if it was, like, 18.
Well,
or maybe it wasn't even...
First of all, the only one who did good consistently was Phil.
Phil, yeah.
No one else was consistent at all.
I think by my standards, by my standard, I'm talking across the whole season. I think by the standards I set, the terrible standards I'd set myself in Season 1. I think my Season 2 record was pretty solid. I had like about 4 first place finishes, and I usually got to that trampoline obstacle most of the time. Not every time, but most of the time.
Well, you know what's crazy about Aborigines, though? You can count on, like, maybe 1 or 2 hands how many people have made Stage 3. Right? So, obviously, there's Phil. There's Patty Atlantic, somehow. Smokey. Puma.
Me.
You made Stage 3?
Tournament 19, yeah, once. Right. Oh, well, technically, if you count Halo Warrior, I think. Was it Halo Warrior, or was it real Abs 21?
It was Abs 21.
It was actual Abs 21. Oh, okay, never mind. So then I've made it twice.
Well, no. No one made it in Halo Warrior, and no one has made it in Season 3 yet.
Yeah, I failed the first obstacle.
121.
Oh yeah, and he failed the first obstacle. That's right.
And I don't think anyone else has got to Stage 3 apart from that.
No. How did you fail that obstacle, dude?
Because I was so shocked at that point that I got to Stage 3, and like I said to him, you know what, let's just go straight into it. Like, I finished the Stage 2 run, and about a minute later, we did the Stage 3 run.
Was that Abs, or was that Halo Warrior?
I think it was abs. I think it was Abs, yeah.
It was Abs.
If it was Abs, I don't think it was 21. It might have been 22.
I think it was 21.
I'd have to check it.
No, 21... 21, Sane got first place, didn't he?
No, I think that was 22. I think the last Abs tournament that went up was when Sane won. Was when
you're right.
Stepdaddy Sane.
Yeah. I can confirm that it was 21 where Hunter got to Stage 3.
Yeah.
It was number 1 in the run order.
Oh, that's right. It's because he did it in a really... He put everyone in a weird run order. I think he did it based on when they did a run.
Yeah, he did it chronologically.
And I think he partly did it because I convinced him to do it, and because me and him both knew it would annoy you.
Yeah, that was the point of most of Ump's shenanigans and Aborigines was to get on my nerves. Because one thing he started doing halfway through season 1, right, and I just want to confirm to everybody that this is 100% true, is that he would do the tournament. He wouldn't, well, like, while I was, like, offline. Like I would not be involved.
He hosted it, posted it, got the runs, filmed it, yeah.
I would not be involved in doing the runs at all. And then he would tell everyone, don't tell Swan how you did. And then he would keep the runs secret, never tell me any of the results. Sometimes lie Sometimes lie to me about the results. And then just like I would have like a genuine reaction seeing what happened in the tournament. Like, I remember one time, so sometimes when we were doing Aborigines, because of technical difficulties, we had to do multiple takes, right? And he had, like, I think it was, like, the first tournament where Hunter cleared. He was, like, we, like, had some sort of technical difficulty, like, where his thing stopped, but mine didn't. And, like, he started, like, freaking out. He was like, just fucking turn it off. Fuck, we're starting the fuck over. And I'm like, no, we can just keep going. It's fine. We can smooth over. He's like, Swan, just fucking start over. And I'm like, dude, what's your fucking problem? And because like he was like being like an actual dick about it, and turns out it was just because he was like trying to keep me from like seeing the thing where we couldn't get my actual reaction. So it's just like a funny little story.
And I guess this is the only other question I had on abs. Really was I guess you just kind of. Maybe already been answered based on the previous stuff you've said, is the reason why you just... I don't know if it was a mutual agreement or whether it was more just on your side of it, why you decided to bring it to an end.
I
assume it wasn't a mutual thing, it was more a you thing.
It was kind of just we didn't want to run it into the ground, you know, like...
Yeah.
Like, we had... Okay, so there were two things. First of all, we thought that 20 was just a nice number for Aborigines to end at, because we, like, had that whole joke about the first to 20. Because technically, Aborigines was the first tournament to get to Tournament 20.
Yes, that is fair. I'll give you that. That is fair.
Also, we wanted to start doing Halo Warrior. And we wanted to, like... put... So, Aborigines was, like, minimum effort, right? We wanted to do the opposite for Halo Warrior, where we wanted to put, like, maximum effort into it. We wanted to make sure...
Yeah, you hired me as the editor.
Yeah, well, the only reason we did that was because I couldn't do it anymore. Like, originally I was going to do it, and we were going to, like, do so many, like, little things where we were gonna advertise every episode, right? That was one thing we were going to do. We were going to advertise.
We had that
every
one
episode.
advertisement in my tournament 16.
Yeah. Like we were gonna do like an ad campaign, like pay money to like get it out there on YouTube to like get as many views as possible, and we were just gonna do everything we could to try to like. The main goal was to drive up the popularity of jumping in general, not just our own course. And so we were like, we can't do that with Aborigines because nobody takes Aborigines seriously. So the only way we could do that is if we wanted to take Halo Warrior and make it the most respected course in the community and make it the most popular course on YouTube while simultaneously increasing the size and popularity of the community in general. You know, like we were like aiming really high for it, but then because of a mix of I couldn't edit it and then Rog didn't even really want to edit it, and then also I started running into a lot of money issues and stuff because just like a lot of life started happening and stuff. It just didn't work out like we wanted it to, and eventually we were like, you know what, fuck it, let's just bring back abs, because everyone just kept asking the question, because since we didn't do all that stuff we were planning, it was like we were just like running abs, so everyone was like, why don't you just do abs? And then we were like, all right. One thing that also
was I ever one of those guys? I don't think I was.
One of the things that also helped kill Halo Warrior was Patrollo making it to a deep stage 2, and just like watching like someone come onto a course that I made and just like seeing like,
wasn't he really slow or something?
Well, it was just rehearsed, you know? It was just like you could tell that like he just practiced the shit out of it, and it just felt so soulless, you know? It was just like this has ruined the entire point. Yeah, the entire point of like what we were trying to do with abs, and the entire point of what we were trying to do with Halo Warrior isn't happening. Because like if you look at the Halo Warrior map, there is, and I guess by extension the Season 3 Aborigines map, because we use basically the same map, there was so much effort put into that map, right? Like,
it's a nice looking map.
Like we put so much detail into that map. We like worked so hard on it, you know? And that is a beautiful map too. I will say that it is a fucking beautiful map.
Yeah. I suppose I have a sub question to add. It's something you just said and it's made me forget it, but have you got a favourite moment or like a funniest moment of all time on abs from filming it? If you had to pick out one moment.
I don't know. I'd have to like really think about it if I like thought about like my favorite. But one of my favorite, because it was okay. Actually, I can think of my favorite, but I do want to mention another one. Is so we always had an issue remembering the results and stuff. Like we just couldn't ever remember the actual results, and so we would like get to the tournament where we'd be like, "How did this person do last tournament again?" or whatever. And I remember one time, Snoz was doing the course, and he beat the popsicles, and he was going onto the cheese wheel, and I was like, Snoz has beat the cheese wheel before, right? And then was like, I don't think he has. And I was like, well, this doesn't look good for Snoz. It's just, I don't know. It's funnier like if you watch it. For some reason, when I watched it, it was so funny. But
Wait, did he fail the cheese wheel?
I think one of the funniest things ever is, of course, yeah, he failed the cheese wheel. Probably some of the Vulcan rants are up there and like funny.
Oh god, I remember those.
The really long rant at the end of 18 was really funny.
Yep.
But another one was
The Rise of the Brits.
Atlantic had this like whack ass run on stage 1, right, where he was just like blitzing through it but like barely clearing anything, and then just somewhere reaches down and pulls out this weird line about goats puking up Skittles or something, and like I'm just like silent for a second. I'm just like, dude, what the fuck? And it was just so funny. And you know, I remember there are other parts of the show, like I can't think of them right now, but like I just remember laughing so fucking much in that show, just having such a good fucking time.
I missed it.
One of my I think when you're doing something that's just really funny, it makes you forget about all of the other nuisance parts of it, like maybe editing it or whatever.
Yeah.
I can safely say that whilst I've edited a wide variety of different videos, not just episodes, I do other stuff. I feel like I've talked about this before. I do other stuff because I feel like if all I did was episodes, I would probably have nothing left to do anything. I think I would literally run myself into the ground if all I did was edit episodes.
Well, you know, the thing is, I would never want to run your show. Because editing 25 okay, I remember there was one Aborigines tournament, I think it might have been 20, where we had 50 people, right?
50 runs, yeah.
That was hell to edit for me, right? I couldn't fucking stand it. I could barely stand editing 25. And like, keep in mind...
And it helped that 15 of them failed the first obstacle.
Keep in mind, okay, does half the editing. Puts all the runs together.
Yeah.
And so we have like the timeline, and then all I do for Aborigines is I would go in and I'd put in an overlay, and then I'd put in a timer. That's all I'd do.
Yeah.
And I couldn't fucking stand it. So I could not imagine getting 100 runs, putting together 100 runs. We're just talking about stage 1, by the way. Then editing 100 runs.
Welcome to my world.
Hey, no, you can shut up. I've been doing it the longest. I've been doing it for... Well, at the time of recording, Tournament 22, I've been doing it for...
13.
For 13 tournaments.
But you know what? You know what is the craziest thing about Hunter's tournaments that I can't understand how he does it is Hunter will put out this 45-minute video with 10 runs in it, right? And somehow it's not boring because Hunter, when he does his episodes, he has such a fucking enthusiasm about it. You know, like, you can just tell that this guy is nerding all over the place about Ninja Warrior shit, right? And that's always fun to watch, right? Like, if I did that and I was doing the commentary, you would be able to just hear the boredom in my voice. Like, I just couldn't do it, you know? If I put together something that long with, like, that, like, little amount of stuff in it, it would just be a fucking drag, right? Like, the only thing that the best kind of content that I can put out is something that's, like, fast-paced and, like, you know, playing it loose off the cuff, just, like, you know, spewing shit all over the place, right? It's just, you know, like the way I do. But I could not have this, like, long-form, slow-paced tournament and still keep it entertaining. So, to people who were able to do that, I fucking hats off to you guys, because I can't fucking do it.
I think it definitely helps that I've got like encyclopedic brain for this stuff. I can just remember the stuff that happens in my tournaments. I think part of it is also down to the fact that a lot of it is not scripted. If I have like a profile, it's pretty much just the profile. No, sorry, I tell a lie. It's the profiles, the beginning of the episode and the end of the episode. That stuff, when I'm editing, when I'm making them, I'll be thinking in my head, what do I want to say? And then making it based on that.
Yeah.
Everything else, the run, the replays, the fast forwards, just anything else, I will just say whatever comes into my head, and I manage to make it work. And I managed to do it to I like to think to a level that is interesting enough to keep people watching.
Well, I
agree.
For everybody, Aborigines was definitely not scripted. Because I don't know
yes.
script that shit.
Yep.
If I could sum up all the courses, mine is, as I just said it, I think, quite spontaneous. I think yours is completely unscripted. Rog's is, I don't want to say scripted. I think the word I'm looking for is probably thoughtful. You kind of, I think you know what you want to say, Rog, throughout the whole tournament. Whenever each run comes up.
Very kind of formatted is how I would describe Rog's and Smokey's.
I would say Smokey's is formatted, but in the sense of he wants it to be as professional as possible. He's worked so hard on making sure he as a commentator especially, but also just the show in general, looks
you know what?
Fantastic.
I think that Smokey striving for the professional kind of thing, I think that at a point that got it to where the show is better than it's ever been, but I think it's kind of gone too far now, where it's kind of like taking the fun out of it in a way, you know? Like,
maybe. But I don't feel like that,
Well,
but I can understand why somebody...
It's a different complex for him.
Yeah.
That's also his job.
Yeah.
So there's no way for him to go about it any other way almost, you know what I mean?
Plus, I don't think I'd want him to,
that's what he does for work.
At this point, I don't even think I'd want him to change it, because he's the only one that does it that way. It makes it in its own way, makes it unique compared to the other three courses.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but because I know that the only thing is because the way that I am as a person, I'm a very I like things to be like kind of chaotic and like, you know, like fucking crazy, you know, like I love crazy shit. And so if something's more like contained,
organized, controlled.
Yeah, it just doesn't like mesh with my personality, you know. Where
I don't know. For a tournament format, I like it controlled and organized. Yeah, but I do enjoy the type of stuff you're talking about, the type of content you're talking about.
I also think that Smokey style only works for a certain type of course, which is fast-paced.
But at the same point, if you want to talk about content being kind of scripted and edited and blah, blah, Smokey, Rog, and Hunter all fall in the same category.
Oh, from an
Really
editing
do.
point of view, yes.
Yeah.
I think the most unique thing about the whole courses,
Yeah.
apart from the obstacles themselves, is the commentary. And that's probably what I mean when I say style between all 4 courses. Is
Yeah.
really based around the commentary.
You know, I always kind of like. It always made me really happy when people would like call Aborigines one of the major courses, because I've heard that happen a couple times where people be like, there are 4 major courses, you know, and be like, yeah, abs, you know, abs.
I like to throw it under that I'm the one who was the first person
Yes.
to call it the major course. Partly because I think it earned it, but also because it sounded better to have a big 5 than a big 4.
Yeah, well, you know, I think that there was a point in time, a very brief point in time, where like Aborigines was kind of like where
One of
everyone
the courses.
like, well, not only that, but I think that there was like a very brief point of time, like during like tournament 5, where it was like the favorite, just for like a very brief point in time, probably because there were 2 of the courses not happening at the time. But you know, I don't know.
There was definitely a point. There was definitely a point where it almost felt like there was an abs tournament going on every week or every 2 weeks, and it was almost making up for the fact that there was no tournaments going on.
Yeah, and you know, there are a lot of things that I wished could have happened with abs, but I'm always going to be happy with what did happen with it, and like, you know, like because of that show, like me and like became really good friends, and you know, like I just had such a good time, and I like really kind of got like a place in the whole community, you know, where like
Yeah.
When I came back after 9 months, like it wasn't just like, oh yeah, this fucking guy, you know. It was like,
Yeah.
holy shit, Swan, you know. Everyone was like so happy to see me, except Snoz. Snoz didn't give a fuck that I came back. Remember? Fucking,
Yeah, you're trash.
it's 6 a.m. Could you quiet down? Vulcan's a better jumper than you.
Wow,
Wait, he actually said that?
I did.
Oh shit, Vulcan just got a boner right now.
Well, I mean, let's be clear. I said what I said, and you know why I said it. You hadn't jumped in 6 months when I said that.
Yeah.
It's somewhat of a difficult thing to do, I think, in terms of jumping in general. So I don't know if this is the right time for anyone that's still watching the podcast this point to plug something. By the time this has come out, obviously, well, the time this video does come out, the quiz will have already happened. You know, there's episodes already up. One thing that might be about to come up, if it hasn't already, is we want to try and get some top 10s going for jumping. And part of the things that I want to do is looking at jumpers from different eras. And I mean, it's not the same thing what Snoz is talking about, but you know, comparing Swan when he hasn't jumped for so long, but you're also having to compare Swan to back when he was maybe one of the top guys. Comparing him to Vulcan now is a little bit different because it's not 2 different eras, but you know, courses were different when Swan did them compared to what Vulcan's doing. It's difficult to compare the top jumpers from back in the day to the jumpers of now because the courses are completely different. I realised that plug didn't really work, but yeah, top 10s might be coming soon, guys. I won't. Okay.
I would like to say,
Top
without-
25.
without trying to say, you know, talk myself out too much, when it comes to just Halo 5, like, you know, from like 2015 or whatever to now, I like to think that I'm at least number 10 in like all the competitors that ever competed in Halo 5. I like to think I'm at least number 10, you know?
Oh, in Halo 5, I think I think that's.
I would say this. If you weren't, you'd be very close. And if you weren't, it would probably be because of your lack of doing some of the tournaments more than your performance.
But
Oh yeah,
I
well,
would
it's like,
the
you know,
two. You see, the 2 factors in
And it's
that
not
I would
even that many
say
tournaments he's missed to begin with.
that's
Well, then
one of
he's
the things I was going to
then
say.
He's probably going to be fine then. And he's
I was going to
probably locked
say part of that is not his
'Cause
fault
you
because
broke
there's
through,
been
I
less
believe-
tournaments.
in. True, and I think he broke through in Smokies on Halo 5, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well he's only done Halo 5 tournaments. Swan, as long as we've known Swan, it feels like we've known him for longer. He is a Halo 5 boy.
You know, one thing that always kills me is that I know that if you took my record from Spartan Sasuke and dropped it into Smokies or Hunters, I like people would think I was way better, you know? Like,
yeah.
What if you
that's
just
pretty
did
fair.
what if you just copied Rog's performances on the? Yeah, oh, that's what you said. I'll be quiet now.
I mean, to be fair, actually, I
Oh,
joked
wait a
about it
minute, I
earlier.
forgot. I've been around longer than most of you. I love
And you're all
Halo
better than
montages. Not
I
necessarily
was,
performance-wise, overall performance.
Go on.
Stage 4. Now, I used to love Halo montages, and I started to like jumping with a couple of my friends, so I would search YouTube and watch videos of all sorts of shit. And then I came across Ninja Warrior of Halo. And I said, wow, that would be kind of fun. I wonder how bad I would do. You know, I was like, I wonder if I could. I know I wouldn't do that great, but I wonder what I could do, because I was enjoying watching a little bit. So it says message Hunter. I message him. He messages me back. Well, I add you, and it's a weekend. I remember it was a weekend. I message you. You message me back pretty much. I'm like, hey, I'll do a run, and he says, yeah, and he sends me an invite. I'm not gonna lie, Hunter was super nice. He had no idea who I was. He was very nice. And I was in there with Hunter, and I can't remember who, and then this guy named Smokey Massacre joined. God, I gotta admit, Hunter, your memory on this shit's better than mine. Do you remember anyone else in the very original party? It was you, Smokey, obviously. I know there was more people.
I can remember
some face or something. My friend.
I can remember
there,
you did the trials course for tournament 13, and it was sort of like a qualifier basically. You had to do that, and you finished in a certain spot, so you got a specific number. It was quite high.
I did.
I honestly couldn't guess who else was in the party personally. Maybe someone else that was also doing the trials course.
Or someone I know, like Rollsome Face, might have been in there.
Yeah.
But then I just remember me and Smokey just went off and did something, and yeah.
And then they left me behind and became best friends without
No,
me.
you were running your thing, so eventually we went. And then the first tournament I ever did, I don't know if it was yours or Smokey's tournament 7. I don't know which one I did first.
Yeah.
Well, do you remember what tournament was my first on yours?
I'd have to check the dates for both the tournaments. I'm not sure off the top of my head. I never even finished the point I was making actually about editing. You were saying about the fact that I edit all these runs, and then we went off course talking about the different courses. The point I was trying to make is that I feel like I have to edit other stuff so that I don't go insane. I just had an Xbox turned on.
I get that. But there's also probably a certain adrenaline you get from really being happy with some of the edits you do to your videos, and then
this is what I was going to say though,
letting everyone watch it with you, especially now when you can do the premiere and you can actually be there when they experience it, for the most part, for a lot of the people.
Yeah, this is what I was going to say though with Swan, is that Swan, like, he feels he could only do funny stuff. I can remember there's it hasn't happened very often, but every so often I come across a gem of a video that is just amazing to edit, and it's just so funny from start to finish that it is not a drag. And one of them was the Halo 3 Let's Play that you and me did, Swan, with Ump Flame.
Oh god.
It was one of the funniest things I've ever edited, and like, I honestly could have uploaded the whole thing in full rather than made it into an edited version. It was just so funny to edit, and
yeah, Say needs to get his Xbox back ASAP.
To be fair, another video that's up there is the turret video. Editing that at the end of last year was very fun. Was very fun.
Oh my gosh, that was great.
From start to finish.
It was me, Smokey, and Z.
Yeah, Vulcan and,
And then
Alex
Vulcan-
Zombie were in there as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Alex Zombie. It's a name we haven't heard in a while. I will say one thing I'd want. Oh my god. Jesus Christ.
What?
I think your mic has died, Swan.
Yeah. Just crank the amplitude up to 11. One thing I'd like to bring up in terms of editing in my case, I guess it really comes down to what I'm motivated to edit, because like I used to have a bunch of channels before I had role-playing Dart Jump where I did a bunch of Let's Plays, and I wasn't really motivated to really edit much of that stuff, so lots of the time it would never finish uploading.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Because I've
for a
been
lot of
using
people,
editor,
you
I've been
know,
using
keeping
editing
motivated.
programs, Adobe Premiere especially, for like over a decade, so I mean, I think my
I mean-
experience on top of motivation.
Motivation-wise,
Really?
even though I say I feel like I have to edit
You
other
know-
stuff, otherwise I'd go insane. Even that stuff, I have to get myself motivated. But once I do I feel like the majority of the time, once I get going on something, I will, I won't stop. It's just actually getting going. Sometimes is the thing for me.
I don't know, man. I have about like 45 minutes to an hour of like work in me at a time. Like when it comes to like computer stuff. Like unless I'm like working on music. Music is something I can just like do all day. But like when I'm like, if I'm like editing a video or something, I can only do it from like 45 minutes to an hour. Otherwise, it's the worst.
I guess
Yeah.
in my case, like, because I started gaming on the PC, so like, games on Windows XP, for example, those were my roots as a gamer. So.
Well, I don't know, like.
I mean, my roots were Nintendo. I was a Nintendo kid growing up, and back in those days, because I think Nintendo, because it was all kid friendly, it almost felt, I don't know if magical is the right word to use, but it felt so fun. It felt so
Yeah.
fun
I
to
guess-
play. It was just like, oh, how is this going to get better?
I guess it
And then
could
eventually
also
I-
be the case, with someone else if they were like into Disney or Pixar. I guess it's that feeling.
Yeah.
You know, it's so crazy to think about like the beginning of this podcast to now, where like now we're just like having this like nice, pleasant discussion about looking back and stuff. But it started out with me and Puma just screaming at each other about salami. And shit.
Ah,
Wait,
It's 'cause
that's how
Puma's
it
gone.
we
all
also
started?
hope that
Oh
Puma
my
isn't
God.
here. No.
When I
offense,
said
Puma.
when I said I hope we can get some solid content and motivation out of this podcast, I didn't think you guys would go to the level that you did at the beginning.
Oh, God.
One
It's
thing,
almost like two completely different podcasts.
one thing I always love talking about, and you guys were talking about this a little bit a second ago, is like I love talking about like my first impressions of people. Because, okay, the first time I ever encountered Snoz was, so I had joined, so Snoz was there for my qualifying run for Halo Ninja War 17. And it started out, I was in a party with Smokey and I was practicing. And then Snoz joined, and like Snoz and Smokey started talking. And for some reason, from their conversation, I was like, these guys are like best friends. I was like, these guys are like grade A, like ride or die best fucking friends, For some reason, that's the vibe I got. And then, honestly, like when I first met Smokey, I don't know, like, I look, to this day, I've never been able to like exactly pinpoint like my opinion on Smokey. I know I have like a good opinion of Smokey. Like I like Smokey, but like I don't know. He's always been hard for me to read and figure out.
Smokey's Smokey's maybe it's just his personality. I don't know. I know what you're talking about. Smokey's he can be very chilled. You can have a laugh with him. He can, laugh his ass off if someone says something funny, like really funny. Maybe it's just his voice. You can only be born with the voice you're born with. He sometimes sometimes Smokey comes off as a kind of guy that's just kind of.
He can come off a little monotone.
Well, funnily enough, monotone is a word I was thinking of using to describe his original commentary, because I know he hated his original commentary
Oh, man.
so much.
Yeah, it's a little rough.
We've got Z Master, Flamosaurus, Atlantic. They all
Yeah,
want in this
I think
chat
I'm
right
pinging.
now.
I'm pinging. I'm
Oh,
guessing
God.
that they're either done or dead, or both.
No, they're done for the day, or they're done with and did it.
Good.
So I guess we're coming
Yeah.
close to wrapping this up. If anyone has any closing
Yes,
thoughts.
I do have one question for Swan. I remember back in the
Last
day,
question.
like, you had this whole thing where you're gonna get total victory in Spartan Sasuke 19. Is that happening? Can we expect Swan at the top of the tower this tournament?
Generalize that question to just what is the plans for the future?
Look, alright. When it comes to jumping, so right now I'm about to move out and I'll be getting Wi-Fi back again. No serious practice is going to be able to happen until that happens. So the thing is, we're looking at like at least a month, maybe 2, before all of that gets set in. And by then, Tournament 19 is going to probably be over.
We don't know. You know, there's the Xbox transition. There's Infinite, obviously coming up in the coming months.
All of that.
Well,
That's
it's
going to
already
be
a
difficult
transition.
for me. I might be a little bit late to the Infinite party, but I will get there.
Yeah.
Like I might miss a tournament or 2, but I'll get there.
But you want to be in on the party.
Yeah, I do, and I'll still be able to get into parties with you guys with the Xbox app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll still do that, but it might be a little while before I can get the new Xbox. But yeah, until I get Wi-Fi and all that stuff, no serious jumping practice is gonna happen.
It's just going to be fun, chilled.
But I'd like to get back into the practice, and I'd like to start running abs again. Maybe running Ninja Paradise here or there. I'd like to start doing that shit again. But it's just kind of like seeing like what happens.
You know what would be one of the weirdest combos? It's not going to happen for Ninja Paradise, but imagine if it did. You and Sane. What a combination that would be.
Oh wow.
That would be really weird combination, because Sane, he's got like this weird kind of like...
Stroking
I don't know
it.
how to describe Sane. He's Sane, man. And then I'm so fucking over the top all the time, and he's so like...
It'd be
quiet
polar
and,
opposites.
like, yeah, pretty much.
You could go on a rant rage, and then once it finishes, Sane would just come in with like one line that might make you laugh or might make the audience laugh.
You know one thing I feel like people don't realize about me and Sane is me and Sane used to like party up all the time. Like me and Sane used to get in parties like every fucking day and like hang out like all the time. And it's like, I don't know, it's weird like you forget about some of that shit sometimes. But I love Sane. Damn, we should have talked about Sane.
We should have had an abs
doesn't love
trio
Sane.
of you, and Sane commentating.
Oh my god.
Wanted to do that a lot. He wanted to have Sane like guest commentate on at least one episode.
Yeah. Didn't Hunter guest commentate one of the abs tournaments?
Yeah, me and Phil.
Hunter and Phil. And,
yeah, we jumped in.
What tournament was that?
I remember one tournament I was
13.
commentate.
13.
You, Swan, and Phil. I remember I was wanting to get that for tournament 11.
Didn't even party.
Well, Ump and Sane have been doing the live streams of all the Halo games. They're going through it on the MCC. That won't be happening for a little while now because Sane's Xbox is broken, so he's got to get that fixed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up. We've been going for over 2 hours. So that is definitely what you call a podcast.
Wow, for me.
Dude,
It's given.
I told you, once you get me talking, I have hours and hours of just like, I can go forever until I fall asleep, you know?
Yeah. Well, that sets us up nicely for future podcasts.
So,
Oh boy.
I hope everybody enjoyed talking about me and how important and special I am.
It's given me a few ideas for future podcasts, like talking about everyone's first time, like finding out about jumping on Halo. That was an idea that popped up earlier on. Maybe just talking about how much everyone loves Swan.
Dude, that's
Swan
actually-
round 2.
Yeah.
That's a pretty great premise. I think you could like do an entire series just talking about how much everyone loves me. I am pretty much the best in the world, and you're all lucky to have met me.
And on that note, guys,
Yep.
to the many guests, the description is going to have lots of names in it for the people that have
Oh,
been in this
man.
party. I think the best way to sum it up is from Gary. It's time to say goodbye, guys. We'll see you guys for another podcast very soon.
God, Gary's been here the whole fucking time.
Yeah.